Baby, I need your loving, although you're never near. Your voice I often hear. Another day, another night. I long to hold you tight, 'cause I'm so lonely. Baby, I need your love. How y'all doing, y'all? Hey, Derek. Hey, Sierra. Hey, Majestic Girl. Hey, Bunny. Hey, Jane. Hey, Diarra. What's up, Melba? Hey, Blazing Black Dolphin. Sign of weakness for a man to beg. But weak I'd rather be if it means having you to keep. 'Cause lately I've been losing sleep. Had to listen to some oldies to get me in the mood. These songs are very misleading, I'll say that. They had you thinking that it was okay to be weak for somebody, to lose all self-respect and dignity. Echoes your name. I wonder, will I ever be the same? Oh yeah, when you see me smile, you know things have gotten worse. Oh, let me set up this live stream. Has all been rehearsed. Darling, I can't go on without you. Emptiness and something live without you. This loneliness inside me, darling, makes me feel half alive. See, nobody should make you feel like that, man. That's codependency. But that's how people be feeling though when they're in love. You know, love is a dangerous thing. Potentially, that is. Hey, Dr. Ken, Diggable Planet up in the house. Sierra, Diggable Planet. Who else we got? Catherine, what's up? Tiffany, hey. All right, let me set up this live stream and stop playing around. Hold on. And with every passing minute, all right, so much joy wrapped up in it. Y'all gonna have to forgive me because I'm in a sing-songy mood. Okay, what am I supposed to be doing? Okay. Hit the road, Jack. Damn, I just skipped that. Lady Marmalade. Hey, sister, soul sister. Go, sister, soul sister. Hey, sister, soul sister. New Orleans on the street. You want to give it a go? Itchy, itchy, ya, ya, da, da. I got a story about this song, Lady Marmalade. So I think I was in the seventh grade, right? And I came in singing this song into homeroom class. And my homegirl, Michelle, she was a Haitian. Well, her parents were Haitian. But anyway, so you know, Haitians, they speak French. So I'm like, voulez-vous coucher avec moi? And she's like, do you know what that means? And I'm like, no. I was like, I just like the song. And she was like, oh, that means, do you want to sleep with me tonight? I was like, what? Scandalous. Itchy, itchy, ya, ya, da, da. Itchy, itchy, ya, ya. I bet you, the girl that I speak of, she was my homegirl for real. Like, but we only connected like a homeroom class. I bet you today she's like this like successful surgeon because she was smart as shit. Me and her, we were like neck and neck with like intelligence, but she had more, what's the word? Ambition in terms of, you know, working in the world, corporate America type shit. I found out quick that corporate America wasn't my thing. But you know, to each his own. Cafe Olay. All right, I'm setting up the live stream now. More, more, 95. More, more. Yeah, yeah, da, da. I hope y'all have been enjoying the shorts I've been making. I've been having fun doing them, but it's been a bitch dealing with YouTube though, because it's like a third of the shorts I wanted to post. YouTube is not allowing. So I gotta be real like strategic on how I make these shorts. But hopefully they'll get better and better. Avec moi. Sing it, Patty. All right, let me save that. I'm almost done, y'all. Bim, bim, bim. Okay. Come on, man. Okay, here we go. Oh, Michael McDonald. I keep forgetting. Bum, 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 ba-dum, bum. Bum, bum, bum. I keep forgetting we're not in love anymore. I keep forgetting things will never be the same again. I keep forgetting how you made that so clear. I keep forgetting. Oh, I'm gonna have to sing close to the mic. No, I can't move it because it's going to turn off. Because you know how he has that muffled voice. Smile, keep your head low. You don't have to say, oh, wow. I'm singing through a towel. Tell me how can I love me some Michael McDonald though. All right, let's get it on. I think I'm ready. All right, let's see. Hey, Red Bunny. All right, who else we got? Tracism up in the house. Liddy in the city. Never want to live alone. Far too far. You don't have to tell me why. I wish I could go back in the day sometimes. I really do. Ah. We always like to romanticize the past, but the past has good and bad memories, but for some reason we like to, well, I'll say, most of us like to cherish those good memories. Still cancer season. Cancer is very much about the memories. Hey, Siobhan. Siobhan said, I can't forget how Nelly told Ashanti she was on her own with that baby. Yes, we're going to talk about this shit tonight, and I'm going to need everybody's help because while I was preparing for this live stream, I was trying to, catch some of the clips from their reality show. I don't subscribe to Peacock. That's the streaming service, that's the media channel that is producing this reality show of theirs. So I've been listening to this. It's like this YouTuber. Probably a lot of y'all know who she is, but I'm not gonna mention her name. But she's been watching every episode, and with every episode, she's been going live with her commentary. So I've been trying to catch up with the episodes through her. So I might read some of the comments from her videos. And then also, I'm going to be reading some things on Reddit about what people think about this relationship. But because I'm a fan of Ashanti, I was like, let me do a video on this marriage because yeah, I'm sure people want some astrological insight, whether they got it from some other astrologer, but me, I got my own unique spin on things. So that's what we're going to do tonight. We're going to get into this marriage between Nelly and Ashanti. So we might as well just get into it now without further delay. Let me set up this PowerPoint because I got a PowerPoint for y'all. And like I said, I always, liked Ashanti. I always liked her music. She's a Libra, and I always vibe very well with Libras. I get along very well with them, especially Libra women. And my Venus is in Libra, so that makes a lot of sense. So she just got that cool ass Libra vibe that I like. And it seems like I would be like, me and her would be cool, like if we hung out or whatever. Tamarius, you said, what's your favorite Ashanti song? Rain on me all day. Rain on me. I can't sing that soprano she be doing, but yeah, I'm staring in the mirror at this woman. No, no, no. That's down and out. She's internally dying. Now, she might be singing that song a lot throughout this marriage, Rain on Me. I feel like some of the songs that she's already sung is very much dealing with this current marriage that she's in with Nelly, like Foolish. See, my days are cold without you, but I'm hurting while I'm with you. And my heart can take no more. I keep on running back to you. So yeah, I mean, I'm like, there, she done wrote the script about her marriage and shit in advance. So yeah, but we gonna get into it. Oh, I'm a Sagittarius. Sagittarius sun, moon in Capricorn, Capricorn rising. So yeah, with that combination, I'm gonna give you the real. I'm not gonna sugarcoat. And this time around, I'm saying this time around, but I always try to be fair. Again, my Venus is in Libra, so I try to be fair when it comes to doing readings, when it comes to doing synastry, and I try to hear both sides out if possible. I try to look at this view an objective lens. And again, I'm a fan of Ashanti. And I think I, would be a fan of her personality too if I would have know her in person. Like I'm saying, like I think me and her would be cool if I knew her in real life, right? With that being said, I'm not trying to be biased towards her and make her out to be the good girl and Nelly out to be the bad guy, if you know what I'm saying. So I'm trying to look at this objectively and look at both their strengths in this marriage, but also the weaknesses as well. So let's get into it. She said, I trusted you, trusted you. So sad, so sad. Well, love will put us through. So let's hope that's not the case, okay? Wait a minute. I didn't know. Oh, okay. I'm tripping. Okay. So this video is about the synastry between Nelly and Ashanti. Married couple, famous married couple. And they have a reality show called We Belong Together. So I decided to entitle this video, Do They Really Belong Together? So I'm going to also do a tarot reading. I'm going to do a few tarot readings about this couple before this live stream ends. Just one second. Let me pull this up on my phone. All right. Turn this down. So, has anybody watched their reality show? Press one if you watch their reality show. Oh, I love Baby. Oh, I love Only You too, Kauai. I love Only You. I love Baby. Those are my two other favorite songs of hers too. And then of course I love I'm so happy, happy. I love that one too. That I couldn't be without you, babe. Couldn't see me without you, baby. All right. So, what am I looking for now? Okay, so before we get into, okay, so Sierra put two, meaning you haven't watched it. So, yes, press one if you've seen any of the episodes of the reality show We Belong Together. I haven't seen it because I don't subscribe to Peacock, but I have been seeing clips of it through videos on YouTube. And I did post a short, but YouTube took it down. I got a copyright strike for that. Well, no, I didn't get a strike, but they were like, this video is blocked due to copyright. So the producers of that show, or I guess it's Peacock, they're not going to allow people to create even shorts off of those clips. At least I'm not allowed to. Now, I will say, oh, you love my PowerPoint. Thank you, Sacred Artist. So most people haven't seen this, but I'm sure y'all been hearing some of the, tidbits of information, tidbits of details from the series, such as Nelly saying that he doesn't want to change diapers and stuff like that. So I'm going to touch on some of the tidbits of information I've been learning. But before I do that, I'm just going to read a couple of articles, very short articles pertaining to Nelly and Ashanti. So the first one is this is from WDNYradio.com, and it says Ashanti gushes about relationship with soulmate Nelly. It's priceless. Ashanti spent her weekend celebrating husband Nelly, who celebrated 50 years of living Saturday. She threw him a gold themed birthday bash at Tao, or Dow, I guess it's Tao, in Las Vegas and took some time to gush to Entertainment Tonight about her soulmate. I don't tell him all the time, but I've learned a lot about just being grateful, graceful, and giving people grace. Interesting. This is the first time I'm reading this, and I'm already talking like part of what I write in the Synastry is about her giving him a lot of grace. So it's interesting that she's saying this. Let me read this again. I don't tell him all the time, but I've learned a lot about just being grateful, graceful, and giving people grace. Being open minded and level headed and not too emotional, she says of Nelly. It's priceless, honestly. Just to have my soulmate, like my person, like my best friend, like my protector, Ashanti later said. The universe doesn't make mistakes. Nelly also raved about wife telling E.T., she's a great person. She's a great mother. Even when it comes to doing this, having birthday parties and things like that. So to have that person with you, it's like, yeah, that's it. Nelly and Ashanti rekindled their relationship in September 2023 following a nearly 10-year hiatus. They've since remarried or married and welcomed their first child together, son Kareem Kincaid Haynes. Interesting how, wait a minute, who's the Haynes? Is that Nelly or Ashanti's last name? Y'all let me know. That's why I said I'm going to need some help tonight because I don't have all the details. But let me know who Haynes is. Nelly surprised Ashanti with an island themed birthday party in October and shared moments from the event on Instagram. Happy birthday to the most beautiful woman in the world, the caption began. Oh, putting smiles on your face is something I wake up thinking about and the thing I love doing the most. Grateful to have someone who loves and appreciates me as much as I do them. Love you, mama. At his bash, they sang Ashanti's Baby together with Anderson Paak, Candy Burris, and Kevin Hart, and more in attendance. All right, so that was that article. And then also, why is this like this? That's weird. Okay. This is from AOL. Ashanti and Nelly's relationship timeline from their on off romance in the 2000s to 2023 reconciliation. Ashanti and Nelly found their way back to each other in 2023 after a series of ups and downs. The twosome sparked romance speculation in early 2003 after connecting at a Grammys event. Although they played coy about their status for years, Ashanti confirmed in March 2015 that they were a couple until 2013. Following a decade apart, Ashanti and Nelly rekindled their romance in early 2023. A few years ago, Ashanti never would have imagined reconciling with Nelly, but they're enjoying spending time together. A source exclusively told Us Weekly in September of that year. They don't want to rush anything. Now, that part I don't believe when she said a few years ago, Ashanti never would have imagined reconciling with Nelly. Because I think she's been holding out this whole time like Nelly was the prize, the grand prize, and she finally got her boy. That's how I feel like she was holding up because she a Libra, so I feel like she was like, I'll wait till he gets his head together. Now, 3 months later, Us exclusively confirmed that the two musicians are expecting their first baby together. The child is Ashanti's first and Nelly's third. He already shares daughter Chanel and son Cornell Haynes. Okay, so Haynes is Nelly's last name. Okay, yes, like Melba said. Thank you. Thank you, Siobhan. You also said that. All right. January 2003, the duo first crossed paths at a Grammy Awards press conference. Ashanti later revealed that Nelly playfully asked for her autograph when they met. I think he was being sarcastic, and I remember writing it down on the program, she recalled during a VH1 Behind the Music special. That picture has been in so many publications as something else, but it all started out as a joke. For the record, it took him a long time to get my number. October 2005. Nelly was spotted at Ashanti's 25th birthday. The following month, Ashanti was seen celebrating Nelly when he turned 31. July 2006. Ashanti brought Nelly as her date to the John Tucker Must Die premiere. In the movie, Ashanti played cheerleader Heather. The following year, the pair released their first collaboration, Switch. I like that movie, John Tucker Must Die. Ashanti did good in it, but I hated the wig that they had her wear in that movie. I hated it, but it's a cute movie. December 2009, the musicians teamed up again to release Nelly's Body on Me music video just months after reports surfaced that they had split. October 2010. We never admitted that we were together or back together or separated, but we heard that Nelly told Complex when we asked about the twosome attending T.I.'s wedding together that August. Only thing we ever said was we were friends and it's the same way now. Summer 2013, the duo called it quits for a second time. March 2015, I think sometimes when people have their own insecurities, it allows them to act out of character, Ashanti said of her split from Nelly during an appearance on the Meredith Vieira show. I've been betrayed again. You just have to grow. You have to grow up and accept responsibility for the things that you do. I'm not a big fan of people being cowards. I think it's really important to know yourself and understand what you want and get it. I'm in a different place now. September 2021. Ashanti and Nelly reunited publicly for the first time while appearing on Pal's Ja Rule and Fat Joe's Versus battle. Ashanti later said during an Instagram live that she had no idea he was going to be there. She explained at the time, I have not seen him or spoken to him since we broke up. 6 years or something? December 2022. The following year, the twosome took the stage together to perform Body on Me at Power 98.3 and 96.1's Under the Mistletoe concert. When asked about the reunion, Ashanti told Andy Cohen that she was surprised by how many fans were invested in her and Nelly's dynamic. My reaction was, wow. It was a lot of comments and a lot of people wanting that. She revealed during an appearance on Watch What Happens Live with Andy Cohen that month. What I will say is we're in a better place. Because before it was like mimics fighting. But we're cool now. Yeah, we have some conversations, so it's cool. Just because y'all have some conversations. June 2023, the pair continued to fuel romance speculation when they stepped out at the third annual birthday ball for Quality Control CEO Pierre P. Thomas at the Fox Theater in Atlanta. The event marked their first red carpet as a couple since their 2013 split. September 2023, Nelly addressed his relationship with Ashanti during a clip from Philo TV's Boss Moves with Rashida, saying, yeah, we cool again. He confirmed that the rekindled romance surprised both of us, though, adding, "It wasn't anything that I don't think was planned." October 2023. The following month, Nelly gushed over his partner on her birthday. He called Ashanti such a beautiful and incredible person inside and out, and one of the hardest working women in an Instagram post at the time. Happy birthday. Love you. Love you. Okay, I'm not trying to split hairs here, and I'm definitely not trying to nitpick, unlike this YouTuber that I was watching. But that whole love you, that's where I can be kind of nitpicky. Like, love ya and I love you are two different things if you ask me. Love ya is like, okay, I love you, but not in the manner in the type of way I'm gonna die for you type. And you know what I'm saying? Like, love ya, in my opinion, that's too casual for my man. Like, if my man said love ya on a post, I'd be like, okay, yeah. Now, November 2023, when Nelly turned 49, Ashanti surprised him with a vintage 1962 Impala. So she buying him cars. Now, he was in total shock and overcome with emotion when he saw it. The gift meant the world to him because it had a much more sentimental reason behind it. A source exclusively told us at the time. This was Nelly's dream car since he was a kid, and he couldn't believe Ashanti gave him such a thoughtful gift. It's one of the best presents he'd ever received. The insider added that Ashanti couldn't wait to give Nelly the gift. She had been planning this surprise for months, and it was such a hard secret to keep. But seeing his reaction made it all worthwhile, the source said. December 2023. Us exclusively confirm Ashanti is pregnant. Nelly and Ashanti are welcoming their first baby together. Now, I'm not going to go down the rest of this timeline because we don't got all that time. Wait a minute. Actually, no, it's only a few more bullet points. Let's see. June 2024, 2 months after Ashanti publicly revealed her pregnancy, news broke that the couple had tied the knot ahead of welcoming their first baby. According to documents obtained by us, the pair wed in December 2023. And then July 2024, the couple welcomed a baby boy named Kareem Kincaid on July 18th. So they got themselves a little cancer baby. The proud and happy parents are so in love with KK, a rep for the couple told People at the time. Now, you see, he's born on the 18th. That could be a child that grows up amid a bunch of domestic violence or where the household is unstable. I'm not saying that's going to actually happen, but I'm looking at that 18 birth number as that just says a lot considering who his parents are. I'm just saying. Y'all can let me know how y'all think that 18 is going to play out with this little boy. And I didn't come here to talk about the little boy, but that's just something to really take notice of, him being born on that 18 like that. Mm. All right. So, Nelly and Ashanti, do they really belong together? So, as you can see, I included like two little heart stickers. One for Ashanti, one for Nelly. The one to the right for Ashanti, as you can see, she's this little heart girl. She's holding dumbbells, barbells, lifting weights, breaking a sweat. Basically, I have it where she's doing most of the work. And then you have the other heart sticker where he's just laying back with his little cocktail, look like a little margarita, just basking in the sun, chilling. So, when it comes to synastry, and if you don't know what synastry is, because I might have some newbies in here, people that aren't that familiar with astrology. Synastry basically is a chart. Well, it's when you put two charts together and where you are judging the compatibility of the couple. And you could do a synastry chart on any two couples. It doesn't always have to be about love, it could be for siblings, it could be for friends, and so forth. In this case, we are doing a synastry for Nelly and Ashanti because they're a hot topic right now. So, before you get into a synastry, it's important to understand the couple's charts on an individual level. So we're going to briefly go through each of their charts individually and mainly just focus on the aspects in their chart, the placements that pertain to their relationship, that pertain to this marriage, and so forth. Yeah, Tracism, I agree. His those veneers or dentures or whatever the hell he has, they look clownish. So Ashanti was born on October 13th, 1980, and that 13 is the number of death. But more so than actual death, it's more so about change, radical change, drastic change. 13 is like Aquarius because it breaks down the force. So we're dealing with like Aquarius Uranus energy. And as you can see, she has her South Node in Aquarius. So that lines up with that 13 birth number. And I will say that, Aquarius is not really conducive to stable, peaceful unions. I'll just say that, or traditional unions. So with her having that Aquarius South Node and having the birth number of 13, she's already coming out the gate with some challenges with being in a stable, normal, traditional type of relationship, which it does seem like that's what she wants. So Ashanti, she's a Capricorn rising. So I can relate to Ashanti a lot because I'm a Capricorn rising. Her ascendant is at the ninth degree in particular, which makes Saturn in Libra her chart ruler. So, knowing that Saturn in Libra is her chart ruler explains a lot about why she wanted to get married. And then, of course, she's a Libra sun as well. So, that goes into account as well. So, she has a stellium in Libra, Saturn, Sun, Black Moon Lilith, and Pluto. She has Mercury in Scorpio, Uranus in Scorpio, Mars, Moon, and Neptune in Sagittarius. Mars and that Moon's in the 11th. Mercury and Uranus are in the 10th. She also has Chiron and Taurus in the 4th. Venus in Virgo, intercepted in the 8th. Jupiter in Virgo, intercepted in the 8th, too. That's another thing we have in common. So we both have Virgo intercepted in the 8th house, Pisces intercepted in the 2nd. All right. So, for relationships, the two main houses we want to look at are the fifth and the seventh, but we can also take the second and the eighth into account as well. But since we need to be brief, we're really only going to focus on the fifth and the seventh house because we're talking about love and marriage here. So she has the 28th degree of Taurus on her fifth house cusp. That 28th degree pertains to trusting lamb. It's called trusting lamb, and it can result in being too trusting. And if you saw or you listened when I was reading one of the articles where she was saying she was betrayed the first time around with Nelly, and that often comes with that 28 betrayal because you tend to be too trusting. Now, that 28 also produces cycles of ups and downs, which is what was also mentioned when I was reading the article that it was a relationship of ups and downs. Attachment, that's what Taurus on the fifth can produce when it comes to love affairs, possessiveness, but also security. Now, just because Taurus is on the fifth, it doesn't necessarily equate to being in a secure love affair. We have to look at what Venus is doing in the chart, and then that will determine how secure her love affairs can be. Also, with the fifth house representing children, this can be making money opportunities or money making opportunities involving their baby. So I firmly believe they wouldn't even have a reality show if they didn't have this baby. So this baby is part of their ticket to further wealth or added wealth, you could say. And 28 very much deals with children as well. So it compounds the children theme. Also, I noticed in the reality show, hey Tyrell, I know, hey Shine Star, I noticed in the hey Salacious, I noticed in the reality show that she was very focused on the type of food, the quality of food that her baby was eating, and the baby's still young. I don't even think the baby's a year old yet, but so that's very much Taurus on the fifth, being very concerned about the food that your kids eat. Case in point, I got the 29th degree of Taurus on my fifth house cusp and sharing custody with my son's father, I was very concerned about the quality of the food that he was eating when he was with his father, because I know how his father is. Just eating a bunch of hot links with white bread and shit with some ketchup and calling that a meal and shit. So yeah, and like, just drinking a lot of heavily sugary drinks and stuff, letting my son just eat whatever junk he wanted. So yeah, I was very concerned about food. And I've been like that with my children, period. Just very concerned about the food that they're eating and always making sure it's quality food. So yeah, not being able to cook for my son a lot of times because he was with his father, that would kill me. So I understand where Ashanti's coming from. She got the 28th degree of Taurus on her fifth. I got the 29th degree of Taurus on my fifth. So I can relate to what she's dealing with the food and her baby. Now, Venus is ruling her fifth house and it's at the 10th degree of Virgo. Do y'all see this combination? 28th degree and then 10, 28 breaks down to 10. That 10 and 28, travel is a major theme, but 10 and 28 children are a major theme as well. So, with Venus in Virgo ruling that fifth, this is where she wants to feed her baby only healthy food. But it's also representing Nelly helping her to become pregnant because of the Virgo theme. Receiving help with the baby is a major theme. And again, it doesn't mean that she can easily receive help. This can mean that there might be challenges with receiving help when we look at the aspects Venus is forming in her chart. But this is just receiving help with the baby in general. This can even represent a nanny because nannies are represented by Virgo. And then having to share Nelly with others, this or any lover, because this is just about her chart in general. So we know Nelly is her lover and husband, but this can be any lover she gets with. She might have to share them with others. In this case, having to share Nelly with others. Why? Because Venus is in the eighth house. Whenever you're dealing with eighth house placements involving a relationship or marriage, a lot of times you will have to share that person with other people. It doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to be cheating on you. It can mean you got to share them with the world. It can mean that they got a lot of other commitments going on. And we know that Nelly already has children. I think the two children he already had are grown, if I'm not mistaken. But y'all let me know. I saw one of the I saw his daughter that he has, and she looked grown. She looked like she was at least 18. But that's still having to share, you know what I mean? And then the baby mamas and all that. And this could also represent collaborating on work projects with that eighth house representing collaborations. So here's that Venus right here in the eighth, ruling that fifth house. It's also ruling the fourth house as well. And with that fourth house, that could be a living nanny that she has at some point. All right, so she has Moon in Sagittarius, and that's ruling her seventh house. So this is very much related to her marriage. And the Moon is squaring her Venus in Virgo. So this is an aspect that is one of the main problems that is going to show up in her relationships and marriage. And this was the aspect that I was talking about when I created that short that YouTube ended up blocking due to copyright restrictions. But anyway, this square represents Nelly's unwillingness to help Ashanti with feeding and changing baby's diapers. And he said, I quote, "Baby, I'll give you the world. I just ain't changing no diapers." And that's very much what this is representing, with Venus and Virgo representing the baby's diapers needing to be changed, especially with the eighth house. That eighth house can deal with, poopy and pee pee and stuff. And then that moon in Sagittarius is representing Nelly, where he wants to be free of that stuff. He thinks he's above such duties. Now, Nelly being on the road due to touring makes Ashanti insecure. It disrupts her routine. So that Venus and Virgo she has, that makes her want to be about routine when it comes to her marriage. That makes her want consistency. That makes her want some degree of regularity. But with Nelly being on tour, and this came up in the reality show, Nelly was about to go on tour, and Ashanti was saying she hates that. Now we know Ashanti tours too, so this square is dealing with her alone, but it's also dealing with when she gets into a relationship, marriage to Nelly. So that's representing that as well, with the moon in Sagittarius representing Nelly traveling. Also, again, this is showing her challenge with taking care of the baby while she's on tour. And I believe on one part of the reality show, she was talking about taking the baby with her on tour, but that will still pose challenges, right? Because I think she's still breastfeeding. She's going to have to pump her milk. She's going to have to tend to the baby. Maybe she's trying to get some rest after performing, but baby's crying and all this stuff. So, yeah, that square is basically showing a lot of what she's up against. Now, this can also represent challenge with the nanny that she hires. Hold on, Salacia said a woman came out and said he just made her orgasm a few days after the show premiere. Is this the woman named Chantel? Because I wrote down a woman's name named Chantel, and we're gonna get into this chick. So yeah, let me know, Salacious, if that's um trying to show your comment. Okay, another okay. So there could be a challenge with the nanny at some point, and it's always hard to find good help. And this square is basically showing that. So I won't be surprised if she goes through a couple of nannies because one might be careless with the baby or one might be a freeloader. Also, challenge with maintaining a long distance relationship. So in the beginning of the relationship back in 2003, it was long distance. He was in St. Louis primarily, she was in New York. So this represents the challenge of being in a long distance relationship, the challenge with making it work. And again, when somebody has Venus in Virgo, they're really going to struggle with the whole travel and long distance. Hey, Tara, they're really going to struggle with the travel and the long distance because they need somebody there every day. Like they need that consistency, that regularity. Now, Ashanti's attempts to train and tame Nelly are futile. And again, this doesn't have to just be Nelly. You can insert partner because, again, this is just dealing with Ashanti's chart right now. But it basically is showing her attempts to train and tame, which is Venus and Virgo, tame Nelly are futile. Like when you're putting Virgo up against Sagittarius, Sagittarius usually is going to win out. Now, can represent her concerns about having her baby around Nelly's family because Ashanti has Cancer on the seventh house cusp. I'm going to get deeper into that in a minute. And that can represent her partner's family, in this case, Nelly's family. And with that moon in Sagittarius, that could be he got a wild ass, obnoxious, loud ass family and she might be a little concerned about bringing the baby, represented by Venus and Virgo, around Nelly's family. Also, with Venus and Virgo representing her baby, that can represent where she wants to try to keep her baby innocent as long as possible. That's going to be kind of challenging with Nelly. Also, this is square is representing Ashanti's issue with Nelly performing at the inauguration because Nelly, I think he originally said he wasn't going to perform, and then he ended up performing at Trump's inauguration, which goes against Ashanti's values. So that points to that as well. Sagittarius rules politics. Get the likes up, y'all. Thank you. All right. Now she has some nice aspects involving her Venus. So that Venus square moon, that's one aspect, but she got some positive aspects as well, like Venus and Virgo trine her Capricorn ascendant. So this can represent a love affair that doubles as a business partnership, or you could say a marriage that doubles as a business partnership. Also, this Earth trine promotes longevity, trust, and dependability. And it can cause both of them to have a sense of duty towards each other. She also has Venus in Virgo, trine Chiron and Taurus. So this can represent the money making ventures that they are engaging in. Also, this can show that Ashanti allows Nelly to be the exception to the rule because that's what that Chiron is about, being the exception to the rule. So it shows that she allows Nelly to be the exception to the rule so long as he stays and brings home the bacon. So people are saying, a lot of people are talking about Ashanti being, foolish and, she don't know what she's getting herself into, but she might know very well what she's getting herself into. And she has Venus conjoined to the fixed star Zosma, and Zosma can manifest as depression, fearfulness, unhappiness, a feeling of being restricted, and a loss that occurs in childhood. Now, I hope that doesn't apply to the baby, but it can show that her marriage she could be depressed at times, she could be fearful, there could be times where she feels unhappy or restricted, but this can also represent Nelly too because Venus is the partner, so it could represent Nelly being depressed being married or being fearful. He did mention something about he was afraid of them being together, and he said it jokingly, but sometimes you got to really take what people say seriously. um so yeah, and I would definitely say he's going to feel restricted in this marriage if he doesn't feel so already. I love this picture of her. Like this picture right here is a perfect blend of her Libra Sun, Sagittarius Moon, if you ask me. Now let's get into her seventh house. So she has the ninth degree of Cancer on the seventh house cusp. That ninth degree is about endings and new beginnings. It also breeds conflict, and it can also manifest as immaturity, which I believe that Nelly is dealing with. I think he's dealing with a certain level of immaturity that he may never grow out of. Now, if y'all remember my Cancer live stream, which wasn't too long ago, I was talking about Cancer being one of the signs that has the potential to be ghetto, very ghetto. So, and trust and believe, me and Ashanti, we got similar house hookups. So I know all about this Cancer on the 7th in terms of attracting ghetto dudes. So, getting with a country bumpkin, because remember I said Cancer on the 7th, or I'll just like Cancer period can produce that country bumpkin type of person, which Nelly basically is. He even had a song called Country Grammar. Let's be real. I'm singing down, down, baby. Ain't no ghetto. But you know what I mean. So she got with a country bumpkin like Nelly. This basically is a ghetto love story. Now, Nelly said that he didn't have a bed until he was 8 years old. If that's not ghetto, I don't know what is. But yeah, so even though Nelly has money now, he's still on the ghetto end. And that's what I said before during the Cancer live stream. I was like, you could be rich and still be ghetto. So Ashanti is dealing with that type of energy coming from Nelly, which represents that Cancer on the 7th all day. Cancer is one's background, it's one's upbringing. So when you have Cancer on the seventh house cusp, like Ashanti and me have, you do have to be very considerate of a potential mate's upbringing, their background, where they come from, their culture, all of that. Ashanti didn't grow up like Nelly did. She grew up rather well to do, if not well to do, you could say, I guess, middle class. So she's coming from a whole nother, lifestyle background than he's coming from. I remember my mother. She used to say when she would see me get with some of these dudes that, they were from the hood and stuff, she would tell me that it was important to consider a person's background. And I used to think she was just trying to give me a hard time. And she was like, getting with a guy whose background is very different from yours, a lot of times that's going to produce problems. And I didn't understand that until I got much older. And my mother is right. And sometimes, mothers do know best a lot of times. But yeah, so Ashanti's dealing with the same situation that I found myself in. Getting with guys that have very dissimilar backgrounds than yourself. Also, Cancer on the 7th can produce a conflict, especially the ninth degree. conflict involving home and family, but also other women. And I've had to deal with that in my relationships too. It seemed like there was always some other woman in the relationships I was with that Cancer on the seventh, and then dealing with their mom as well. So, Cancer on the seventh can make it easy to attract a mama's boy. And in one of the episodes, Nelly actually said, he said, I'm a mama's boy. So that fits her Cancer on the seventh. And Nelly's Saturn in Cancer is in her seventh house. So he is fulfilling all of these Cancer related themes involving the seventh house. Siobhan said a lot of resentment comes from relationships like these and jealousy. All right, so the moon ruler of her seventh house is at the 11th degree of Sagittarius. That 11th degree breeds internal and external conflicts involving home, family, women, and one of the women could be his own mother, but it could be, women he's seeing on the side. And 11 often breeds love triangles. So, moon in Sagittarius in the 11th, this is representing Nelly. So, it shows that Nelly insists upon maintaining a high degree of freedom. And I'm saying that they have an understanding, meaning she basically allows him to run wild as long as he brings his ass back home at a fairly reasonable time, and as long as he continues to, provide for the household. I won't even say provide because she's making money too. I'll say contribute to the household expenses and all that, and keep her satisfied sexually. Because come on, Moon and Sagittarius women, we're not stupid. Well, I'm saying we're. I'm a Sun in Sagittarius. She got Moon in Sagittarius. But Sagittarius dominant women are not stupid. She knows exactly what the hell is going on. So, also, this moon in Sagittarius is representing Nelly's travel and touring. The long distance relationship in the beginning, that's what that's representing. And again, I'm seeing where his family is probably on the wild side, which is more foreign to her than how she was raised. Now, if her and Nelly don't work out, how that moon in Sagittarius ruling her seventh could play out, let me tell you what she could do if her and Nelly don't work out. She might resign herself off of black men. She might be like, I'm done dealing with these brothers. I'm going to get with a dude that's non black, whether he's white, Latino, Asian, Indian, who knows? But she might be done with the black men after this, because that moon in Sagittarius is very much conducive to an interracial relationship when it's ruling that seventh house. Rain on me. All right. And then also his political leanings are a big deal with that moon in Sagittarius ruling that seventh. Now she has moon in Sagittarius trying her North Node and Vertex in Leo. And this is basically representing that long distance love affair that was in the beginning of the relationship. Nelly fulfilling her hopes of having a child, with Leo representing children. Lucrative deals in entertainment with Nelly, such as this reality show. And they've been circling the media with all these interviews. They are really trying to get the bag together. But it makes sense considering their synastry. Going on tour with the baby. And her moon is running contraparallel to the asteroid Eurydice. And this makes me wonder if Nelly was stalking Ashanti at one point, or it could mean that he might stalk her in the future if they divorce, or she might separate temporarily from him, or whatever. And the reason why I'm saying that is Eurydice does have a strong stalker theme in terms of its mythology. But this could also deal with another woman as well. She might be the one stalking him and another woman if she finds that, he's really been seeing some woman, like, seriously. All right, so now we got to talk about the sun in her chart, because the sun is representing Nelly, her husband. So she has sun conjoined to Black Moon Lilith and Pluto in Libra in the ninth house. So this is basically Ashanti having to share her man with others, other women especially, but just with others too because of the Pluto influence. Issues with control, jealousy, infidelity. That Black Moon Lilith influence can represent other women, but not just other women. That can represent a woman that is always there, a woman that is always in between Nelly and Ashanti. And this one chick, Chantel, she was basically saying that this is the chick that claims that Nelly was cheating on Ashanti with. She basically was like, "Oh, this wasn't no one night stand. We've been dealing with each other like throughout his whole tour, stuff like that." But this could also represent a woman other than Chantel that Nelly always is going to be dealing with, whether he's married to Ashanti or not. Now, the Pluto influence is creating that regeneration of a dead relationship. So, this is one of the aspects that is representing the regeneration of her relationship with Nelly. But this can also represent her husband's debts. More about this in a minute. With Pluto representing debt. Also, this can represent her husband being hypersexual due to the Pluto influence. Her Sun and Black Moon and Pluto in Libra are in trine with her Aquarius South Node. So this can be a marriage that is based upon a solid friendship, which I believe they are solid friends. Like I saw them in action on the reality show. I saw them in action on the Hot Ones video. That's where they be eating hot wings with the real hot sauce. And I have to admit, seeing them together, it warmed my heart. Like I still believe in love. Maybe not for myself, but for other people. And I did see love. Like I saw true love between them. I saw that if not for nothing else, they love each other on a friendship level. Like they truly love each other. They weren't faking like that type of energy exchange, that chemistry that they have together. Through watching the Hot Ones video, I saw why Ashanti loves Nelly, like why she's in love with him and all that. I could see why. And it made my heart warm up towards Nelly too, because I was like, he funny as hell. First of all, if you can make me laugh, that's already a few points. And Nelly's funny as hell. He's very personable. He's charming. He has that, what's the word? He just has that very endearing quality to him. So I get it. I get why she loves him. I get why she chose him to be the father of her children. With that being said, we also have to talk about some of the problems that could be surfacing in this marriage. But I do believe that they are a good match, at least number one, superficially, because I think physically they're very compatible. They make a very cute couple. And then I think they're match well in terms of just their lifestyles. And also, when you see some of the synastry, you'll see how they are basically in a very, I say, very much on the same wavelength in a certain degree. Not all the way, though. Now, this could also play out as an open marriage, though, because of the Aquarius influence, and maybe not on her end, but maybe on Nelly's end. So, again, Ashanti is no fool. Like, she might be a fool for love, but she's not dumb. So, she knows Nelly is going to be out doing what he does. She's probably the type that's like, don't bring it home, don't let me know about it, I don't want to hear about it, but she's not going to trip over it. Now, what she might trip over though is if she finds out that he's actually in love and been seriously seeing another woman. But if she finds that he's just, having sex with groupies and stuff, she's like, let the boys be boys. She's kind of old fashioned in that respect. A lot of women back in the day, if the man was bringing home a lot of paper, they could look the other way if he, had a girlfriend on the side, little chick that he didn't really care about. He was just, smashing real, just on some lighthearted shit. But yeah, Babe Zilla says she made the song Foolish, right? Now, Nelly helps her to achieve goals. So this trine is also pointing to that as well. I love this picture of her too. She's so cute. She's so pretty. All right. Sun and Libra, Sextile, Neptune, and Sagittarius. So this is representing the reality show We Belong Together, promotional deals like Hot Ones, and she has Sun conjoined to Fortuna in Libra. So this can represent marriage and other partnerships bring great fortune, but if she's not careful, she could experience a downturn of fortune through a marriage. Sun in Libra quincunx Chiron and Taurus. Nelly is not a stable presence in the baby's life. He may start to feel that he has no say in the decision making involving the baby. All right, so let's get into Nelly's chart. Oops, my bad. I added an extra slide for Ashanti. Before we get into Nelly's chart, I got one more slide for Ashanti. So she got Mars as the first degree of Sagittarius in the 11th house. So Mars is going to deal with the type of man she's with as well. So Mars is pertaining to Nelly as well. So with Mars and Sagittarius, attracting a man who is free spirited, a lot of fun, very funny, generous, adventurous, romantic, but and a big but, because a lot of us already know how Sagittarius get down, especially the men. Now, we got to go back to that first degree because that first degree is echoing that 28th degree and the 10th degree that we already saw. 28th degree on that fifth house cusp, Venus at the 10th degree, and now Mars at the first degree. So, children, major theme with these degrees, but also travel with the 28 and the 10. And one is very much about love, attention. Now, attracting a man who is free spirited, a lot of fun, very funny, generous, adventurous, romantic, but irresponsible, careless, tactless, insensitive, wild, distant, whorish, gambling addict. And Nelly has a big appetite for gambling. Also, this can represent a man that insists upon remaining free, a liberated, progressive man that will not be tied down. I'm saying liberated and progressive because Mars is in the 11th house. Also, she has Mars in Sag, sextile Saturn in Libra. So, this is basically Ashanti marrying her best friend after a long time, represents her patience, business opportunities through marriage. All right, now let's get into Nelly. Let's see what y'all are saying before we get into this wide jaw fool. But like I said, I think Nelly is generally, can I say he's a nice guy? I'll say he's a nice guy on the surface. Let's make no mistake though, he's a Scorpio. Not saying that Scorpios aren't inherently nice, but we know that they could be dealing with some other shit. All right, let's see what y'all are saying. Siobhan said he got caught with X pills after the baby was born, so of course he's still outside. Jupiter going wild. Hey, Jupiter. Jupiter said, I love Latinas. Siobhan said she was already hanging in Dubai before they got back together. Kay said, LOL, that's how I'm feeling now as a Sag, Sun, and Rising. Like maybe I need to try something different. Oh, I know what you're talking about. Abu, hey, Abu said, I heard her grandfather was a part of the civil rights movement back then, which is interesting because that's very Venus and Virgo. That Virgo being very much about civil rights, integration. Blazin said, lots of dark side of water signs love to stalk their exes. Salacia said, she did pull up in the Foolish video. Blazin and Black Dolphin said, oh yeah, Rahbinah, can't wait for you to do or finish your Black Moon Lil series. Oh yeah, I do. Gotta do that. I gotta make sure that's on my list. Jupiter going wild said, Mars in Cancer, my privacy is always invaded. My sisters were in my room. All right. You doing that Mars and Cancer stuff, Jupiter. You having a conversation to yourself by yourself. Let me stop. All right, smart said. Am I attracted to Nelly? No, he's not my type at all. But I think he's a good looking guy, but he's definitely not my type. Kay said, I wonder how she felt about him recently getting caught with drugs, right? She's probably not going to speak on that. Felicia said, I wonder how she feels about him being accused of sexual assault multiple times, right? You know she's not going to speak on that. Blazer said, neither did he, right? Jupiter said, I tell people I'm a Willow Smith Scorpio. I'm done. Well, that's, I like Willow. I think she's kind of cool. Jupiter also said, I'm a Scorpio stellium. I call myself the Princess of Alchemy. Abu said, Nelly seems like a good dude. He does, but okay, all right, Abu, I'm glad you mentioned that because we gotta talk about men, right? Okay? Because men, y'all got some tricky shit with y'all. Because a man, he could be a really good dude, right? To his fellow men, to women that he's not in bed with. But he could be a total jerk, a total asshole. Maybe not total all the way. Hey, problematic. But you know what I'm saying. There's plenty of guys that are great guys out in public, and then behind closed doors, they're a piece of work. So I'm just going to say, I'll say on the surface, Nelly does seem like a decent guy. He seems very personable. He seems like he is caring. I know he does care about his friends and stuff. So, but it's also about you could be a great guy out in public, but how are you to your lady at home? You know what I'm saying? Because it's all about your whole character. It's not just about how you present yourself to certain people. Hey, Tiger Lily. All right, so Nelly has Moon conjoined to his South Node in Gemini. This here is a big part of his problem. So with this, it makes him inclined to be with more than one woman, wifey, and side chick. Listen, women and gay men, if you get with a guy and he has heavy Gemini energy, especially involving like relationship planets, there's a high chance he's going to be cheating. High chance he can't just have one. There might be some times where you're the only one, but you can never be exactly sure. That Gemini energy just makes people want to have more than one. Oh, thank you, Kawaii. Hey, you're so sweet. All right, communication with his woman is very important with that moon and south node in Gemini, of course. And also, this makes him want to have light and breezy relationships with women. He wants to keep things light and breezy. So he's not the type that wants to go deep and like have these serious conversations. That's one of the problems with Gemini, where when it's time to get serious, they don't really want to get serious and they may not know how to get serious. It might just be like, man, later for that. So Moon and South Node in Gemini opposing his Neptune and North Node in Sagittarius, being away from woman. So in this case, it would be Ashanti due to touring, but also scandals involving women. Drugs and alcohol can bring out his shadow side. So again, Nelly seems like a nice guy on the surface, but with that moon in Gemini, he got another side to his personality. Feeling trapped by women. He might feel trapped by Ashanti. Also, this can show that he has the potential and emphasis on the word potential. I'm not saying he's actually going to do this, especially with Ashanti, but he has the potential to neglect and abandon women, making a joke or spectacle out of everything, including his wife. So, this opposition, especially with his moon involved, can make him, again, where he's never really serious, especially when his woman wants to get serious about something and have a serious conversation. He's likely to make light of everything and where everything is like a joke. And Neptune is conjoined to Circe. Circe is an asteroid that often deals with poisoning or spell work. Often deals with like bartending as well as also waitressing. But I'm wondering if he's ever put roofies in a woman's drink. I wouldn't put it past him being a Scorpio, hardcore Scorpio, that is. But this can also show that he could be under a love spell at some point. It might have been Ashanti that, put him under a spell. Maybe not to totally control him, but maybe for him to agree to get married and have a baby. Who knows? But I know when I see that Cersei, a lot of times it is dealing with spell work, and it could also deal with where something is being spiked, like a drink is being spiked. But again, look, some of these men, you heard Bill Cosby talk about that Spanish fly. We know that roofies exist. They also would call them Mickeys back in the day. This shit still exists. What else do they call it? The GHB, the date rape drug? I'm sorry, I wouldn't put it past Nelly to have done something like that. Maybe not now, but back in the day, like when he was younger, or maybe he was around, like one of his friends did it or something like that. I would not be surprised. You can't think too highly of a lot of these men, especially these men in the industry. Now, if you're average dude, you can't think too highly of. You really can't think too highly of a lot of these men in the industry because they're surrounded by temptation and they can easily be corrupted. Jupiter said, I take my food and drinks with me. I don't leave my shit alone. Yeah, hell yeah. Alex said he has had allegations against him for sexually assaulting women. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So I wouldn't put it past him, especially when he was younger, to have roofie a chick's drink. Or he could have been in close proximity to a chick that was being roofied, and maybe he joined in on the train, if you know what I mean. Maybe he hopped on that train. Cameron said, Hey Cameron, I don't know why I thought she was a Virgo. I was going to say I just met a Scorpio Virgo lesbian couple at the pool today. Abu said, Remember the tip drill video? Exactly. Awkward Letter said, Libras don't want a deep love. That's why she chose Nelly. Sammy said, Yes. And men used to talk about openly on talk shows. Yup. Tiger Lily said, Okay, you're talking to Kwai. You need a tip drill. Yeah. I have to admit, I used to love that song. So yeah, I like some of Nelly's music, but that was when I was young. And no, let me stop. All right, so you got South Node and Gemini trine Pluto and Libra. So this is the We Belong Together reality TV series that they are collaborating on. Also, this is a back in the day aspect with Gemini being one of the back in the day signs. So this trine made it easy for him to get back with an ex. Jupiter and Pisces squaring his nodes. So this makes me think that he's probably a mess on the set of that reality show a lot of times. He probably shows up late. He probably shows up drunk or high sometimes, forgetting the script. Because you know some of this shit is scripted. Forgetting the script or going off script. So that Jupiter and Pisces can really mess him up squaring the nodes where he just sometimes can't get a handle on his drinking and stuff. Unfortunately, I couldn't find Nelly's birth time, so we can only talk about his placements and aspects. Now, Nelly has Sun and Venus in Scorpio. Sun conjoined to Venus in Scorpio. And a man like this is where he always got to have a woman. So think about it. A man like this always got to have a woman. So if he's on tour and Ashanti's not there, what do you think's going to happen? And this is mainly for sex because we're talking about Scorpio energy. I mean, look at his face right there. Look like he plotting on a chick that he's seeing from across the room. And I heard there was two separate reports. One was by Jane Doe, one was by some other chick. I think the one chick was named, but both of them had said that when he got them alone, he started jacking off in front of them, or they basically said pleasuring himself. Sun conjunct Venus and Scorpio, y'all, can be a man pleasuring himself, like for real. So when they said that, I was like, yo, there might be some truth in what they're saying because this very well can be a man. Number one, he's hyper indulgent and very much sexual, and the Venus right there, that's like him pleasuring himself. So yes, I could see that actually happening. A woman could put a binding spell on him. That could be Ashanti, it could have been one of his baby mamas in the past, who knows, but it's possible. Having a child around other women. So this could be one of the problems. So one of the problems that could occur in this marriage, and I've heard people talk about their fathers doing this with them when they were young, where the father, he was a philanderer, he's married to your mother, but he's taking you out when he wants to go cheat on your mother, and you're around these other women that he's cheating on your mother with. That has to screw a child's head up. But I wouldn't be surprised if he did that at some point with the son representing children. Also, this shows that yes, Nelly can attract a ride or die wife, which Ashanti is. And this can also manifest as a love hate relationship because that's what Scorpio produces, love hate situations. Kawaii said, I wonder what Ashanti thinks of that sex tape of Nelly. Well, you know, she ain't going to discuss that. You know, Libra don't like to discuss anything that's unpleasant. And then he has Sun conjunct Valentine, which basically reinforces all of the above. But this can also just represent, like I said, some woman that he always got on the side. Venus conjunct Mars in Scorpio. This right here is one of the more problematic aspects in his chart. It's not so much problematic for him, it's more problematic for the women that he gets with. Now, this conjunction can produce narcissistic tendencies. I typically don't like this conjunction, especially when a man has this. It produces narcissistic tendencies where the person treats their partner as an extension of themselves. So Nelly got that shit going on with him. So as long as Ashanti is compliant, as long as she's doing whatever he wants, he's cool. The minute she starts pulling away and trying to do her own thing, now he got a problem. This is another aspect that can make him hypersexual. And this conjunction produces a his way or the highway type of attitude. Everything is gravy as long as he gets to do whatever he wants. And one of the chicks actually said, wait, I took the quote. I had to write this quote down. One of the chicks that accused him of sexually assaulting her said that he said, I'm used to getting my own way. Just do it. Meaning just service me, I guess. So that's somebody that has Venus conjunct Mars. Like, I'm used to getting my own way. It's a big infidelity aspect. Like, I don't think Nelly could be monogamous if he tried. And this is also about him and his woman getting the bag together, in this case, Ashanti. But this is also a rent-a-center aspect. A rent-a-center aspect meaning can be heavily indebted. You know, rent-a-center, that's the place where it's rent to own, where you want to get that big ass 55-inch flat screen TV, but you can't pay the full amount. So you go to rent-a-center and you pay like $40 a week, and then you end up paying triple for what was originally like 400. Now you're paying 1,200 for, like shit like that. So this is potentially a rent-a-center aspect where everything that he owns, everything that he buys, he's buying on credit, including those grills in his mouth. I wouldn't be surprised. Scorpio is credit. So when you see somebody with heavy Scorpio energy like that, yeah, it look like they're balling and shit, but they might be heavily in debt. Can be heavily indebted, rent center aspect. His Venus is running parallel to Eris. And Eris is an asteroid that, well, you could consider it a minor planet. But basically, it represents strife and discord in relationships and a marriage with Venus being involved. And also, this can represent a woman who seeks revenge or retribution. So, this could be that woman, Chantel. It could also be the other women, the Jane Does, that came forward and with their allegations of sexual assault. And he has Venus running contra parallel to the asteroid Pandora. And this can represent a woman exposes some of Nelly's dirt. Hey, it could be one of the nannies because Pandora is in Virgo. Now, Nelly has Mars in Scorpio conjoined to Uranus and Libra. This is another problematic aspect. So, this could represent Nelly being in an open marriage. maybe not on both sides, but from his end. This can produce chronic infidelity where Nelly always has a desire for some strange, strange being represented by Uranus and Libra. Strange meaning just some new ass, new coochie. Being uncompromised, very willful, objectifying women. So the tip drill video, Abu, you were talking about the tip drill video. Here it is right here. So this is how he was able to make that tip drill video where he's sliding the credit card down the crack of the girl's ass. That Mars is Scorpio representing that credit card. Remember, I told you he buys everything on credit. Him sliding that credit card down that girl's ass cheeks. That's basically him admitting, yeah, I buy everything pretty much on credit. Don't let a lot of these celebrities fool you. A lot of what they have is on credit, and that's why years later you'll see that they're filing for bankruptcy or that their mansion is going into foreclosure because these credit card companies will give them an Amex Black card. You know what I'm saying? They will give them like unlimited credit because they know that they're going to have to pay up. They're good for it eventually. They can seize all their assets if they can't pay, in cash. So they know they're good for it. So they're like, here, you can have the American Express Black Card. Have fun. And that's exactly how Nelly lives his life. Again, remember, he's ghetto. And ghetto people are prone to basically run up credit cards and stuff. Of course, rich people can do it too, but you know what I'm saying. He got that rent a center mentality. Now, remember he had that band-aid on his face? This is where I need y'all help. Can anybody tell me why he was wearing that little band-aid on his face? That little like white sticker on his face back in the day? But him having that band-aid on his face back in the day, that's very much Mars conjunct Uranus too, because that was weird. Like, what the hell? Like, what did that represent? He has Mars parallel Eurydice, Uranus conjoined to Eurydice. So this could be where he could be stalking a woman at some point, but this can also play out where a woman gets killed and Nelly might be involved in some way. I hope some dirt don't come up. Well, when I was hearing about that Chantel chick, I was like, this chick better be careful because we know how some of these famous men do when they want to shut a woman up. Sometimes they'll make a woman disappear. And again, Nelly is a Scorpio. Now, I don't think he has it in him to do something like that himself, but he got homies. And some of these homies, I think, are straight up thugs with his moon being in Gemini conjoined to that Gemini South Node. So Nelly got the type of friends where all he got to do is complain about something, and his friend be like, "I got it." He'd be like, "Don't worry, cuz I got this. I got you." So again, I wouldn't be surprised if some chick ends up disappearing, being unalived, as how people like to say nowadays, and where his name is attached to it at some point. Awkward letter said, "Yup, they going on tour like a circus to pay them bills." Mm-hmm. Okay, now Nurse Tara said he had a pimple before a show, put the band-aid on to cover it. That was a long-term pimple. Cause I swear, didn't he have that shit on for like 3 years? All right. Hire a crackhead to take you out, right? But yeah, okay. And then he has Uranus conjoined to Shiva. So Shiva can deal with destruction. So with Uranus and Libra, this can play out as breakups, divorce. He has Mercury conjoining Uranus and Libra. So this is where he can be unreasonable and also where he can say and do some shocking things. Also, this represents his crew, especially like how tight he is with his crew, but it can show that his friends can easily influence his decision making. Like I said, like the roofie situation, or where they all ganging up on a chick. You know what I mean by ganging up, running a train or what have you. Mercury and Libra square Saturn and Cancer. So this is that country grammar. Him basically speaking with that southern drawl. And I'm looking at this as him probably having speech problems when he was growing up. That southern twang that can make it hard to understand some of what he's saying. And this can also represent where Nelly doesn't know how to act in certain posh settings. Remember, I talked about this square during my cancer live stream, and I said, with this square, this is where you feel like you can't take this type of person anywhere. Like, you can't just take them anywhere. You can take them to the local juke joint or the hole in the wall or maybe the mall and stuff. But if you want to take them to like a Michelin star restaurant, yeah, he might embarrass your ass. Also, this represents his teeth, especially in terms of the misalignments due to the grills. It represents the veneers that he got and how his jaw is kind of lopsided now. Now his Saturn is running contraparallel to the asteroid Hera, and Hera often represents the jealous wife. So this could be a jealous, vindictive woman tries to ruin his reputation or career. So in this case, I don't think it's representing Ashanti. I believe it's representing one of these women, whether it's Chantel or these other women that are basically saying that, yeah, either he's been cheating on Ashanti or the ones that are saying, this is what he did to me. Also, Nelly has Mercury opposition chaos. So this could be where he sows seeds of chaos whether he does it unconsciously or consciously, being in chaotic environments. And he really is trying to be a country music singer, I think. Cause it's all in my head. I think about it over and over again. I think about it over and over again. Cause it's all in my head. All right. So he got Saturn in Cancer, square Chiron in Aries, and this can represent Nelly disrespecting women, his displays of sexism, and misogyny. Also, racial discrimination. So I'm sure he experienced that growing up in St. Louis, especially being born in the 70s, and then racial conflicts that he might find himself in, especially trying to be a country western singer. Cause it's all in my head. I think about it over and over again. Now, challenge with co-parenting, with Cancer representing the parenting, being a family man and being domesticated. Because that Chiron in Aries can make him want to just do his own thing despite being a family man. And then he has Chiron contraparallel Salacia. So this can be salacious behavior involving friends, associates, and networks. And again, I wouldn't be surprised. This third degree of Aquarius friends, that sound like again him pulling a train on women with his friends. All right. Okay, I have to admit, I love this picture of him. But you see what I mean about that band-aid? I think this picture is so cute of them. This is where my Venus and Libra be like, oh, cute. But yeah, so this was taken, I believe, after the Grammys back in 2003. Yeah, he got the little Grammy lapel on his lapel. I believe this was taken after the Grammys. This was when he asked for her autograph. That was his way of shooting his shot. You see him with the old flip phone. But yeah, I think this is such a cute picture. And again, I think they make a really, really cute couple. Here's their synastry. This is the synastry grid. We're not going to spend time on this because we need to see how things are lining up in Ashanti's chart. So even though we don't have Nelly's birth time, we have Ashanti's birth time. So we're going to put Ashanti's chart on the inside, Nelly's chart on the outside, because we're going to see how Nelly's planets fall into Ashanti's houses. Now, just looking at this grid real quick, this section right here, let me get my drawing tool out. This upper left-hand quadrant from one person's moon to Mars to the other person's Mars to the other person's Mars, this section right here, I always pay close attention to this section because this is the synastry section that deals with each of their personal planets interplaying with each other. So if a couple has some nice energy involving their personal planets, that's a big plus, right? And we see that Ashanti has her sun conjoined to Nelly's moon. I'm sorry, trine Nelly's moon. So that's a plus. Her Venus is in sextile with Nelly's sun and Venus, which is a plus. You want to see nice Venus contacts in the synastry. You also want to see some conjunctions too, which helps. So his Mercury is conjoined to her Sun. His Sun is conjoined to her Mercury. His Venus is conjoined to her Mercury, so that helps. So the blue and the white, that is what you want to see in a synastry that at least will enable these two to get along in a way where they're in control of these planets, because these are personal planets. You have more control with the personal planets than you do with these outer planets, which is why I like to look at this section first. So they have three positive aspects, they have three conjunctions, and then they have one, two, three, four challenging aspects just in this upper left hand quadrant right here. I shouldn't say quadrant, but corner. So just off of looking at that, that's not too bad. All right. I used to think that I wasn't fine enough. All right. So here is the buy wheel with Ashanti's chart on the inside. I know it looks crazy on this inside with all these lines, but don't even worry about it. I'm going to break it all down. So Ashanti's chart's on the inside, and then Nelly's chart is on the outside. Then you see his Saturn in her seventh house, like I talked about. All right, so here we go. These two. So Nelly's moon in Gemini. First, we're going to talk about the positive aspects in this synastry. So Nelly's moon in Gemini, trine Ashanti's Sun, Pluto in Libra, and Aquarius South Node. And I'm not going to dwell too much on the positive aspects because I know a lot of you aren't here for that. Y'all are here to get the dirt. Like y'all want to see the problems, which is what I'm usually more interested in as well. But we're going to go real quick through the positive aspects. So, with this trine, great conversations, witty banter between each other. And I could really see this trine when I was watching that Hot Ones video on YouTube. So, yeah, they were just yucking it up, kikiing, having a good time. It was very, lighthearted. They were just very much like bouncing ideas and, comments off of each other. Very smooth, free flowing conversation. And this trine is one of the aspects that made it easy to get back to get back together. Get a tongue tied. Mercury retrograde. Now Nelly is able to be with different women while being married to Ashanti. So one thing to keep in mind about synastry is that you can have positive aspects in the synastry, right? But sometimes the aspect will be more beneficial for one of the partners than the other. Not all positive aspects in synastry are going to be mutually beneficial. In this case right here, this could play out as where Nelly is able to be with different women while being married to Ashanti because she's not going to be all checking up on him like that all the time. She's very much about allowing him to be liberated, allowing him to do his own thing because of her Aquarius South Node. But that Aquarius South Node can get you into trouble as a woman because you might let a lot of things slide. It can make you very tolerant. It could even make it where you're not very jealous. So you might see him like, hugging up on some chick that he claims is just a friend, and you might let that shit slide thinking, oh yeah, she's just a friend. He wouldn't be interested in her. And next thing you know, he getting his dick sucked by her. So yeah, with that Aquarius South Node, sometimes the women, especially with Aquarius South Nodes, they might be too buddy buddy. They might be too tolerant. And next thing you know, they're being taken for a fool. Now, Nelly's Sun in Venus conjoins to Ashanti's Mercury and midheaven in Scorpio. So this produces a tight bond that involves artistic collaborations because Venus is involved, and then her midheaven's involved, which shows this is also a professional relationship as well. Also, because the Scorpio influence, regeneration of relationship. So again, this is another aspect that made it easy to get back together after a number of years because of the regenerative nature of Scorpio. Scorpio is about rebirths, a bond that is hard to break. So even though Ashanti, this is one of the problems with this synastry because even though Ashanti may feel like she's upset, she's being betrayed, she, is not getting a fair shake in this, she's still liable to stay with Nelly because of this bond that's hard to break that these conjunctions are producing. Sorry, I'm chewing on candy because my mouth is dry. Oh, I got my vitamin water. Where is it? Hold on. This also produces a high degree of sexual compatibility. And because midheaven in Scorpio, look, I'm telling you, I can relate to Ashanti's chart because Ashanti's midheaven is in Scorpio and the midheaven deals with your priorities. Sex is a big priority for Ashanti. Don't let that Libra cute little face fool you. She could get down and dirty with the best of them. And I know with me, with my Scorpio midheaven, whenever I was in a relationship, sex was a top priority. If we weren't having the sex, we might as well not even be together. So, high degree of sexual compatibility, frequent sex. I'm saying frequent because Mercury's involved. So they're getting it in, y'all. So this is like frequent sex, sex on the daily, multiple times a day, even. Sharing in debt, and plus she knows she got to keep him satisfied because he got a high sex drive. Sharing in debt with Ashanti. Oh, sorry. Sharing in debt with Ashanti being the one who is concerned about it. She most likely is the one paying the bills. When I say paying the bills, I mean actually where he contributes financially, of course, but where he probably gives her a check and be like, all right, you work it out, you pay who needs to be paid and all that type of stuff. With her Mercury being involved with this conjunction, she is likely to be the one that's more conscious of the amount of debt that they're carrying and accumulating. So she could end up being very stressed out in this marriage, and he's just going along with his Amex Black card, just charging everything up. And she may have to keep on reminding him, like, hey, babe, come on, you already spent 100 grand this month at the casino. Like, come on, you gotta stop. Ashanti cannot think freely on her own too much when Nelly is around. So this is problematic. And this is why I'm not a fan of certain conjunctions because it will inhibit the other person to a large degree in a lot of cases. Like in this case, with Nelly's Sun and Venus conjoined to her Mercury, it's like she cannot think clearly on her own when he's in the picture. So she's liable to go along with what he wants and proposes, even if it's not in her best interest. It's almost like she's compelled to say yes to him. So, yeah, that right there is a problem, if you ask me. But some women don't want to be very independent, so she might be okay with it. And that's another thing to take into account with synastry. It all depends on where the person is at. I'm eating the nerds, the gummy clusters, and I need to stop before I become a fatty. Oh my god, they're so good though. Let me just eat one more. Yeah, but this right here puts Nelly at an advantage. This conjunction with his Sun and Venus on her Mercury in midheaven. Also, this produces a love-hate relationship because of the Scorpio influence. Scorpio is that love-hate sign. And in one of the interviews they did together, they did say at one point they hated each other. All right. Now, Ashanti looked like she got that wig at Party City. Other than that, she looks cute right here. Now, Nelly's Sun and Venus in Scorpio sextile Ashanti's Venus in Virgo. Oh, going back, remember I was like, we're going to talk about the positives, but that conjunction, keep in mind, the conjunction can either be positive or negative. This one right here, let me just go back real quick. So his Sun and Venus conjoined to her Mercury in midheaven. So conjunctions can be positive or negative in synastry, and sometimes they could be a combination of both. But I did include it with the positive aspects. All right. So Nelly's Sun and Venus in Scorpio sextile Ashanti's Venus in Virgo. So this is another aspect that produces great sexual chemistry, with Ashanti being very willing to please. Also, Nelly fathering a child with Ashanti, with her Venus ruling that fifth house and his Sun representing children. Ashanti can be submissive, allowing Nelly to be in control. So again, she's okay with Nelly being the main one in control with her Venus and Virgo. She wants a man that's going to basically like kind of take charge. Much money to be gained through working together. Nelly's Sun and Venus in Scorpio, sextile Ashanti's Capricorn ascendant. So this aspect promotes further sexual compatibility. Basically, this shows that Nelly makes Ashanti weak at the knees. I make you weak at the knees. hmm Nelly benefits financially from Ashanti's loyal, dedicated, and business oriented persona. So with Ashanti's Capricorn ascendant, she is about putting in that work. That's why she was back to work shortly after giving birth to that baby. And I understand because I'm a Capricorn rising and I'm about work too. But the problem with being a woman and being a Capricorn rising, a lot of times you're the one shouldering most of the responsibility, unfortunately. Ashanti can count on Nelly for support, especially now that they have a child together. So that's a benefit. Okay, here, look at them here. They look very mismatched. But this is a perfect example of their moons because their moons oppose each other. I'll get into that in a minute. But his moon is in Gemini, her moon is in Sagittarius. This is like the epitome of moon opposition moon with him looking all thuggish with the wife beater on, the cargo shorts, the jewelry, and then her looking like a flapper, from the 1920s era, dressed all, snazzy. But yes, that's very much Moon in Gemini opposing Moon in Sagittarius. Interesting. But Nelly's Mercury is conjoined to Ashanti's Sun and Pluto in Libra. So basically, they are like two peas in a pod. This conjunction produces ease in relating and communicating with each other. It was easy for them to agree to get married and have a child, especially now that they're older. What Nelly says, she does. She is very agreeable in this relationship. Nelly will go along with what Ashanti wants as long as it benefits the both of them, and that's because her Pluto is involved. So, again, with Nelly's Venus conjoined to his Mars, he's very much about, hey, me and my woman got to be on the same page. And this conjunction shows that he can basically be agreeable, but as long as he's benefiting along with her. Also, Ashanti buying the car that Nelly wanted. I put in parentheses financing because, like I said, these are some credit card freaks. So, Ashanti got Mercury in Scorpio, which can, I mean, not Mercury, yeah, she does have Mercury in Scorpio, which can represent a credit card. And her Sun and Pluto can represent that Pluto can represent credit as well, financing. And then that Mercury is representing the car. So that's why I said financing instead of buying outright. You know, she financed that shit, especially if it was a 62 Impala. Nothing wrong with that, by the way. I'm not saying nothing, anything's wrong with that, but I just want to really paint this picture of how they get down financially. A lot of things are being financed, a lot of things are on credit. Nelly's Mars conjoined to Ashanti Scorpio midheaven. So this could be a bonded for life aspect. And you know, they are bonded for life basically due to having a child together. But again, this could be more so they might always have this connection even when their child is grown. So this conjunction can produce a lot of sex as well. And some of this sex could be taking place in public places. So because of the, Ashanti's midheaven. And remember, I was about to tell on myself. Let me stop. But I was about to relate it to my Scorpio midheaven. But remember what I said about Scorpio midheaven. That can mean that sex is a high priority. So his Mars on her midheaven is showing that he can bring it and he can keep her sexually fulfilled. Now, also, this shows that Nelly has helped to revamp and revitalize Ashanti's career. And some people would probably disagree with me, but I would say yes, because it was his idea to do the reality show. And this reality show, I think, is going to help Ashanti at her concerts because go on the Instagram reels and I'm like scrolling. And a number of times I saw reels of Ashanti performing in concert. And a lot of people were clowning Ashanti, and it made me feel kind of bad for her. So a lot of them were clowning her outfits. They were like, she's still singing these same old songs and stuff like that. Well, this reality show, I wouldn't be surprised. And she was singing in very small venues. This reality show, I wouldn't be surprised if it helps her ticket sales at shows, concerts. And next thing you know, she's gonna be performing at big ass stadiums and stuff. You never know. So I would say that Nelly is helping to revamp and revitalize Ashanti's career, namely through this reality show. Wait a minute, you're saying Nelly isn't packing like that? He probably real good with his tongue then. Damn, that's sad. Okay, you can't have it all. Now, Nelly's Jupiter in Pisces sextile Ashanti's ascendant. So this is showing where Nelly does pamper and spoil Ashanti. He basically worships her body. He buys her jewelry, expensive perfume, shoes, all that stuff. That's another reason why she really loves him because he treats her really well. Also, this shows that Nelly accepts her at any size, with Pisces being all inclusive. So he really likes her post baby body. And that is a plus in his direction because some men can be real assholes when you're still holding on to that postpartum weight. But he likes her very thick frame now. So that made me giggle when a couple of times he was talking about how he loves how big her ass is and her titties and all that type of stuff. Cause and she was giggling and stuff, and I know that makes her feel good. That's what a woman needs to hear after she's given birth, is she's still holding on to that baby weight. So I will give him credit for that, making her feel really good, even though she's carrying the extra pounds and stuff like that. And he probably really likes hitting it from the back now, cause she dragging a lot of wagon now. All right. Represents the videos and photos that they have taken together, creating history. History is with her Capricorn ascendant, the photos and videos, Jupiter and Pisces. And this just shows that they're very photogenic together. Now, Nelly's Jupiter and Pisces trine Ashanti Scorpio midheaven. So this can represent their artistic collaborations, the reality show, plus they did a couple of songs together. Nelly is very devoted to supporting Ashanti's career, of course, because he benefits from this. Also, this makes me think of sexual role playing that they get into, with Pisces being role playing. And Nelly Saturn and Cancer is in trine with Ashanti's Mercury and Scorpio. So this is an aspect that promotes longevity. Basically, for Synastry, you want to see some positive contacts involving one person's Saturn and another person's planets because it's that Saturn that promotes longevity. That's if you're looking for a long-term relationship or commitment. Also, this trine could represent a post-nuptial agreement that they enter at some point. Now, y'all let me know. Did y'all hear? Hey, Ellie, y'all let me know. Did y'all hear anything about a prenuptial agreement? I didn't hear anything about that, but this aspect could represent a postnuptial agreement that they could enter at some point. Maybe once they start making a lot of money through that reality show. Also, sometimes I just get visions when I'm doing charts, and I got a vision of Ashanti squeezing his nipples. And I was like, this probably like brings some great pleasure. So Nelly's Saturn in Cancer is representing his chest and his nipples, especially like Saturn can deal with things that are constricted and where he likes a little punishment. And then her Mercury is representing her fingers. So, and Scorpio, that's pressure and that can be squeezing. So that's Ellie, you came in at the right time. You said she's no, I'm serious, y'all. When I was preparing this synastry and I was looking at this aspect, I just got this vision in my head of her like twisting and squeezing his nipples during sex, and he gets off on it. But that's not uncommon. Quite a few men like their nipples twisted and squeezed. Hey, Jules. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. Now, Nelly, Saturn, and Cancer, sextile Ashanti's Chiron and Taurus. So they met at an award show, the Grammys in particular. That's what this sextile represents. Also making money together as a family business. Ashanti throwing Nelly the big birthday party. So she threw him a big birthday party for his last birthday. Nelly's Saturn and Cancer trying Ashanti's Uranus and Scorpio. This is basically representing them being long term friends with benefits that leads to marriage and family. Nelly could get with one of Ashanti's friends. So remember, I said with synastry aspects, some of these positive aspects, it could be more beneficial for one of the partners than the other. And this is one of those aspects where it could be more beneficial for Nelly than Ashanti. With Ashanti, Uranus can represent one of her friends. And you know, Ashanti's a pretty girl. So I wouldn't be surprised if she had some pretty girl friends. So yeah, where Nelly just looking, he all salivating and stuff, talking about damn. And you know, with Uranus and Scorpio, you could have a friend that betrayed you. So I wouldn't be surprised if that happened as well. And that could be a deal breaker for Ashanti. So she might be okay with him having sex with the occasional groupie, but she may not be okay with him getting with one of her friends. Represents how this marriage will change Ashanti's financial situation for the better. And it looks like it's doing that already with this reality show that they have. All right, Nelly's Pluto in Libra, sextile Ashanti's Moon in Sagittarius. Nelly is a great source of support and encouragement for Ashanti's aspirations. Ashanti is very understanding and forgiving in terms of her nature, and this gives Nelly license to cheat. Nelly's Chiron and Aries trine Ashanti's Neptune and Sagittarius. Ashanti extends Nelly a lot of grace and leeway for him to do as he pleases. Ashanti hosting ceremonies and balls in Nelly's honor. Nelly's Chiron and Aries trine Ashanti's North Node and Vertex in Leo. Could represent a contractual agreement about the baby. So I wouldn't be surprised if they enter a contractual agreement before she even got pregnant, where he was like, okay, well, you can't go to court for child support on me or whatever. But then again, I'm like, maybe that's why they got married too, so she couldn't go to court for child support. Now, Nelly's North Node in Sagittarius, trine Ashanti's North Node in Leo. So this shows that their destinies are aligned. She has her baby while Nelly is able to maintain her freedom, his freedom. So it's like a win-win situation in terms of the big picture. Plenty of good times, travel, passion, romance. All right, now I'm about to get into the challenging aspects, but before I do that, I'm going to read some of what people are saying on Reddit about this relationship. Now, why did that window close? I'll just pull it up on here. Okay. Nurse Tara said, "Do you think they'll do another season, Ra?" I don't know. I'm thinking they probably won't. Because I don't think Ashanti really likes doing this series. Well, I don't think Nelly really likes it either. They just saw the dollar signs, signed up for this show, but I wouldn't be surprised if it doesn't last beyond this season. And this reality show is opening up the gate for more projects, which could have been their whole intent. Now, okay, so this is on Reddit. It's on the pop culture chat subreddit. Says Nelly tells Ashanti that he's got nothing for their son until he can talk and walk. Refuses to change diapers or wake up when he cries during the night. Until he can say I'm hungry, until he can say I need to use the bathroom, it's going to be a lot on your lap. That's very much his moon and Gemini conjoined to that Gemini South node. And that's in her fifth house. Fifth house is babies, children. All right, so let's see what some people are saying. Okay, this is weird. Everybody's just posting memes. Okay. So this one chick says, I hope she never has another kid with this man. And then somebody responded, Keisha Cole says she's pregnant again, but then again, I don't know if she's just making this stuff up. Wait a minute, why are they talking about Keisha Cole? All right, let me skip through this. And then Spacey Spice said, pretty sure he cheated on her when they first dated. I mean, do you really expect a cheater to respect you? The signs were there. She should have never given him another chance. And then one chick said, her song, The Way That I Love You, is about him cheating on her. She is way too fine to be dealing with that. Then his dumbass wrote Just a Dream about fucking up and cheating on your dream girl. Double Duchess said, let this be a lesson, boys and girls. Do not spin the block. Let your ex be in the past. But she really wanted a baby. Now, Sage Puma said, that's the actual dumbest thing I've ever heard. He's a baby, not a Tamagotchi. You can't just ignore him when he's hungry. Throw this man in the trash. So a lot of people aren't really fond of Nelly, especially after he came out saying he got nothing for this baby. Why even bring a child into this world if you're not going to take care of them? Someone said he's useless. And then someone said, y'all will be surprised how many women are in relationships like this, but they just smile and stay quiet because they don't want to be single. The fact that he's so willing to say this in public could only mean it's so much worse when it's just the two of them. That part I do agree with. That's why I was saying, like, we don't know how he is behind closed doors. He might seem like a nice guy, but we have to always think about him being a Scorpio with that moon in Gemini. He could definitely switch up. Now, manifesting a Russell Wilson level future stepdad for this poor boy. Someone else says, so many men seem unwilling to parent their own children. Now, this person, what they said, I agree with. Plenty of husbands act like this. That is true. Men just aren't natural when it comes to dealing with babies, most of them. I would even expect a man to. Honestly, I always was that type of mother where I expected me to be the one, and this could be because I'm a Capricorn rising, Capricorn moon rising. I always expected myself to be the one that was going to be mainly changing the diapers and the feedings and stuff. But I do have a story about this one time. I shouldn't even tell this story. Actually, I won't. But I'll just say one of the times when I wanted the father of my child to get up in the middle of the night and get the baby a bottle, let's just say I ended up on the floor crying. I'll just leave it at that. But I always kind of like just knew that it was mainly my responsibility to care for the baby, especially when the baby is a newborn. So I'm not too hard on men like that, especially if they're contributing financially and stuff. Now, he could be cleaning up the house though. He could be doing the laundry, he could be doing the cooking while she's caring for the baby. Like, you need to balance that shit out. Like, if you don't want to be helping out with the baby, you could at least help out around the house. But I doubt he does that. But this woman said, plenty of husbands act like this. I remember Busy Phillips' ex said they could have a second kid, but she'd have full responsibility. If that's how you feel, don't even bring a baby into the world. I can't imagine agreeing to such a decision. If I want to be a single mom, there are plenty of ways to do it without giving some deadbeat the satisfaction of taking credit for my accomplishments. These dudes want a child like they want a puppy. This man is trash. So a lot of people on Reddit do not like how Nelly is approaching this parent co-parenting situation. Esther Girl said, men will tell you these bullshits once you are pregnant with their babies. To trap you, they will make you believe paradise and how of a great family you will be. And then when it's too late for you to get rid of that baby, they will hit you with these kind of things. And we said she was lucky that they were good for each other. That man hates her and that baby already. Now, I wouldn't go that far to say he hates her. I don't think he hates her at all. I think he actually loves her, but he loves her on his terms. And that's the problem. He's a Trumpy who performed at an inauguration party. I'm not shocked. He thinks this way. Most Trumpies do. Ashanti knows what she signed up for marrying him. I agree that Ashanti definitely knows what she signed up for, but she may not understand the whole extent or how bad things can get. That may be where she's mistaken. Possible Courage said, it's so pathetic. How can people be attracted to men like this? Bottle Glitch said, absolute trash behavior. Hoping this is manufactured drama for their show because he's really like that. No, it said because if he's really like that, and then they put a cringe face. Rest of his kids are grown. While I understand he may be over all the baby stuff, maybe don't have anymore. And then same butt overwhelmed said, wasn't it just like less than a week ago that people were gushing over them on a trailer or sneak peek? Or we're talking about coming back together, having a kid. It was all rose colored glasses. Oh my God, my 2000s heart and lighthearted sweet stuff. And now it's like all of a sudden people remember he played Trump's inauguration event and is squarely a misogynist piece of shit. All right, that's enough for that. All right, so let's get into their challenging aspects. So Nelly's Pluto is conjoined to Ashanti's Saturn and Libra. Now, again, conjunctions are neutral, so they could either be positive or negative. But since it's his Pluto, I chose to include it in the section on the challenging aspects. So, again, this is another aspect that brought forth the regeneration of a long term relationship, but it can also represent coercion on Nelly's part, where the marriage is more of a business arrangement. Nelly helping to revamp or revitalize Ashanti's career. So this shows up again. Remember, his Mars is also conjoined to her midheaven, so that's him helping to revamp her career as well. Nelly is not good for Ashanti's reputation. Already you're seeing all this flack that Ashanti is getting as a result of marrying Nelly and having a child with him. So it's already showing her reputation as being a little tarnished by his energy. So Nelly is not good for Ashanti's reputation. This could represent a tarnished reputation as a result of Nelly's transgressions. So already some of y'all in the chat was like, I wonder what she would say about his sex tape. I wonder what she would say about the sexual assault allegations and so forth. So again, this conjunction is already shining through. Nelly's debt could become a cross for Ashanti to bear. So remember, I said he's the rent center type of dude. He's the type that's going to put everything on credit, just about. So with Pluto representing debt, she's liable to see his debt as a cross for her to bear. This is one of the things that scares me about marriage. That whole sharing of financial responsibilities. Because when you're married, his debt becomes your debt, and your debt becomes his debt. So whatever debts he's accumulating, and I'm pretty sure it's going to be a lot with his sun conjoined to Venus and Scorpio, whatever debts he's accumulating, she's accumulating as well. So she could be financially ruined as a result of Nelly's indiscriminate spending on credit cards and loans and whatnot. Now, if they divorce and she has more money than him, he is likely to seek spousal support. And again, even with that Sun conjunct Venus, Venus conjunct Mars, this is somebody that you really can't ever trust fully. That Scorpio energy always has the potential to turn on you, always has the potential to stab you in the back, always has, like, let's be real. Scorpio, the scorpion, it has that stinger. Think about the whole story of the scorpion wanting to go across the river on the frog's back. I think it was a frog, and the frog was, he was apprehensive because he understood what scorpions do. And the scorpion convinced the frog to allow him to ride on his back. He was like, I'm not going to sting you. Trust and believe I'm not going to sting you. And then when the frog agreed to carry that scorpion across the river, when the scorpion got across the river, he stung the frog. And the frog was like, why did you sting me? You said you wouldn't. And the scorpion said, well, after all, I am a scorpion. I'm just doing what I do. I'm doing what comes naturally. So, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if he turns on her. It might be before the divorce, but if they get a divorce, she better watch out. All right. So Nelly's Pluto in Libra square Ashanti's ascendant in Capricorn. This is a very problematic aspect as well. So this is another aspect that shows that Nelly is not necessarily good for Ashanti's reputation. And this is due to his legal issues, criminal charges, and then his philandering as well. This is another aspect that showed that he really didn't want the news to get out, at least when they were together the first time around back in the early 2000s, that it was mainly him that didn't want the news to get out that they were in this relationship, with Pluto acting as an undercover. Ashanti has little to no control in this marriage, and she certainly can't trust him when he is on the road. Nelly disrespecting Ashanti with his infidelity. Capricorn is about respect. So this Pluto, his Pluto square her Capricorn ascendant, is basically blatant disrespect at times. So Nelly disrespecting Ashanti with his infidelity, sometimes throwing it up in her face. Nelly could become physically abusive at some point. Also, he could always turn on her. So we know just by him being a Scorpio, there's the potential for him to turn on her. But this square also shows that he could turn on her as well, especially if they divorce. He could try to tarnish her reputation, drag her name through the mud. So already this isn't looking very good for Ashanti. when we look at these challenging aspects. Look at him with this tooth right here. I'm just like, but this is what I mean about Cancer on the 7th. Her getting with this country bumpkin. Like this picture right here, like he looks so country. I couldn't, but to each his own. But this to me just represents who he is, and he's never going to grow out of that country bumpkin type of lifestyle status. Even though this was back in the day, I believe this was back in the day, right? Um, he hasn't really changed. Like he hasn't become more sophisticated. Now, Nelly's Chiron in Aries is opposing her Sun and Pluto in Libra. So this is basically Nelly demanding to be the exception to the rule because Chiron wants to be the exception to the rule. Oh, thank you, Jules. So Nelly wanting to be or demanding to be the exception to the rule while being married to Ashanti. He will continue to do his own thing despite being married. Nelly choosing not to involve himself in the unsavory parts of raising a child, with the sun representing the child, the Pluto representing the unsavory parts, such as changing diapers, cleaning up vomit, and stuff. Represents what Nelly keeps saying about their son being around his uncles and cousins, almost like he's warning her. So, one of the things that really piqued my attention when I was looking at clips of the reality show was that a few times he was talking about, yeah, when our baby gets older, when our son gets older, he's going to be around his cousins and uncles anyway. He going to be rolling with us all the time. And I'm like, that's a red flag knowing the type of people Nelly comes from. Like, I'm just saying. So, again, that could be one of the deal breakers for Ashanti if she comes to find that his family, his the baby's uncles and cousins are a negative influence. Also, he could put his son in danger at some point. So, that could be in a variety of reasons why he's putting his son in danger, not purposefully, but it could be where he goes to the hood with his son. Next thing you know, they start, bullets start flying, popping off. We are talking about St. Louis. I don't know if he's from East St. Louis, but I know East St. Louis in particular is rough. So if he's taking his son around his old digs, his old stomping grounds, I wouldn't be surprised if some of these are high crime areas, and next thing you know, you're putting your son in danger. His lack of impulse control sends them deeper into debt. And Ashanti's son is ruling her eighth house. So when I talk about the debt theme with them, it's very strong. With her son representing Nelly, her husband, ruling the eighth house. Eighth house is debt. Conjoined to Pluto, Pluto is debt. So and his Chiron and Aries can cause him to be impulsive. So this can deal with his impulsivity, could send them deeper and deeper into debt, especially with his gambling habits. Now, Nelly's South Node in Gemini is in quincunx with Ashanti's Capricorn ascendant. So this is where Nelly is in and out of Ashanti's life, especially in the beginning when they were first together. But even now, because he'll be touring off and on. Now, he will be the same way with this son. So leaving Ashanti to bear the brunt of responsibility. So again, the reason why I'm saying he'll be the same way with the son is because his South Node is in her fifth house. Fifth house is children. Now, the way Nelly handles and speaks to the boy could make Ashanti a little fearful and overly cautious. Can represent the baby's uncles, cousins, and Ashanti's attempts to limit their influence, with Gemini representing relatives, siblings, cousins, uncles, aunts. Ashanti having to split time she spends with Nelly with other women, perhaps, especially when we take into account that his moon is conjoined to that South Node. So here's what I talk about. His moon and South Node are in her fifth house. So that's like his cousins, uncles, nieces, whoever, hood people being around her son, or I'll say their son, and now she feels some type of way about it because now, you know, the little boy come back cursing and shit, come back drinking hugs and shit, even though he only 1 years old. I'm just saying, we know how certain people in the hood get down. But that's basically what you're looking at with that moon and South Node in Gemini. That baby gonna come back from visiting with his relatives saying all types of bad words. Fuck you, bitch. I got a story about that too. One time, I was over my daughter's friend's mother's house. And her mother, well, it was my daughter's friend's little brother. And he was only like maybe 4 years old. And my daughter's friend at the time, she was already like 18, 19. So that just shows you the big age difference. This woman, she had like six, seven kids. And the youngest was this little boy. No, she had one younger than that. The second to the youngest was this little boy. He was about 4 years old. And I remember I had my laptop over there, so I'm working on the laptop. And he was a bad little kid. He kept coming by my laptop and like trying to play with it and like bang on it. So I told him straight up, because nobody seemed like they were paying him any mind and getting him straight. So I told him, I said, stop. I said, leave my laptop alone. This little 4-year-old was like, fuck you, bitch. I was like, what did you say? He was like, fuck you, bitch. Little 4-year-old. Little 4-year-old brat. I went and told his bigger sister. His big sister took him in the back room and wailed on his ass. But I didn't feel bad about it either. I was just like, yeah, he need a little beating because, like, for real. But I'm like, how did he even get to that point where he's saying, fuck you, bitch, at 4 years old? That shit is crazy. But if kids are very absorbent, this is why you got to watch what you say around children. But with Nelly's moon and South Node in Gemini in Ashanti's fifth house, I won't be surprised again if his relatives are a negative influence upon their son. Not all, but maybe some. Now, Nelly's Neptune and North Node conjoin to Ashanti's moon at the 11th degree of Sagittarius. Now, this can produce some positives, but I have it in the section on the challenges, mainly because when you're dealing with one person's heavy planets like Neptune on another person's personal planets, it creates a very unfair advantage, or you could say it puts the person with the personal planets at a disadvantage a lot of times. So this energy is akin to her being under Nelly's spell. Not saying that he actually put her under a spell, but it is akin to her being under a spell where she can't really think straight, she can't operate straight. So this points to the music connection that they have. Also, it represents how they kept the first round of their relationship a secret for years. And that's due to Nelly's Neptune. So again, that makes me think it was Nelly's idea to keep this a secret, not Ashanti. And it makes sense because Ashanti's a Libra. Scorpio's the one that wants to be all undercover and secretive and shit. And with his Neptune on her moon, it makes sense that he was the one that wanted to keep it a secret. He was born in 74. Now they have an understanding. So just like I said when I was talking about her Sag moon ruling her seventh house, that's like her having an understanding with Nelly. So again, I'm seeing it show up again. They have an understanding where Ashanti is allowing Nelly to still be somewhat of a free agent, but also where she has made Nelly her everything. And you never want to make a person your everything. You just don't. Even if they're good to you, because one of these days they're going to die. I mean, you might die first, but let's say you make this person your end all be all, your whole world, your everything, and then next thing you know, they die in a car accident. Then you're going to be like so devastated that you may not be able to ever recover from that. So I'm just against making anybody your everything. But when you see that Sagittarius energy, think everything, because a lot of times that's what that's representing. Hey, IP Freely. Now, she also was quoted as saying, I wanted to go all out for his birthday party. So, her going all out, that's that moon in Sagittarius. Like, she's not sparing any expense. Moon in Sagittarius people, they know how to splurge. They can throw big parties and stuff like that. So, yeah, that's her wanting to go all out where her moon could join to his North Node and Neptune in Sagittarius. And know that with her moon being in Sagittarius, she's helping him to evolve per the dictates of the Sagittarius North Node. But you can always take the North Node too far, as I'm always known to say. And you could also do bad things with the North Node. Now, Nelly has fulfilled Ashanti's aspirations for marriage and family, but this can also play out as love triangles because of that moon being at the 11th degree. And I think, wait a minute, what's at the I gotta go back and look at that Synastry real quick. Because I think he might have either his Neptune or North Node at the 11th too. So this 11 can bring interference from third parties. In a benign sense, it could be the camera crew that's coming into their home, their private spaces for the reality show. Also, Nelly being on the road due to tours, putting their personal business on blast. That's very much Moon in Sagittarius in particular. Ashanti ain't going nowhere. Now, there's going to be a couple of things that can make her leave Nelly, but for the most part, Nelly could put her through a lot and she'll still stick around. So basically, this could show that he has her on lock because it's his Neptune on her moon. So I'm seeing one of the main things that could cause her to leave him would be if he doesn't do right by their son. Because I believe her son will trump him all every time. And that could be why, he might be a little shaky when he sees that she's all loving up on their son a bit, a lot, or what he deems to be too much. Cause she's like, he might be like, damn, I'm gonna have to really treat this boy good because I could be in the doghouse if my son come running to his mom talking about my dad did this. So yeah. Oh yeah, so Nelly's North Node is at the 11th degree. Her moon is at the 11th degree. So that can easily produce love triangles. It can easily produce conflicts within the home, conflicts with family, conflicts with other women. Now Nelly's moon is South Node in Gemini, opposing Ashanti's moon, Neptune. That's my bad. Let me get rid of that. Because that Neptune and North Node, that belongs to Nelly. Hold on. I proofreaded this too and still had to make a correction. Okay. All right, let's bring it back. Okay. So his moon and South Node in Gemini is opposing her moon. So this plays right into his natal opposition with his moon and South Node opposing his North Node in Neptune. So this opposition in their synastry just exacerbates the potential for problems. So this can show that Nelly could feel trapped by Ashanti, but he'll have his chicks on the side as a way to balance things out. Ashanti knows all about his other women, but perhaps not all of them. So she may think she know, but she may not know fully. And that's because of that Neptune influence that he's dealing with, conjoined to his North Node and conjoined to her moon. Now, her high hopes for this relationship, represented by that moon in Sagittarius in her 11th house, 11th house is hopes. The high part, that's the Sagittarius. So she got these high hopes for a relationship with that moon in Sag ruling the seventh. So her high hopes for this relationship are constantly dashed because her moon is opposing his South Node and moon. She can't take him certain places and around certain groups of wealthy people. Again, because he is a country bumpkin. He is rather ghetto. He's very much still conditioned by his early upbringing. And remember, he said he didn't have a bed until he was 8 years old. Being on camera for the reality show is bound to create distance between them off camera. And that could be a problem. Again, when you take his moon opposition Neptune into account. So this could be akin to Ashanti leaving him in the middle of the night at some point, and this could produce a challenge with getting Nelly to grow and expand his horizons. It could show that they are from two different worlds. So when I showed you that one picture where he was wearing the tank top and she had on like that flapper dress, it basically was showing his moon in Gemini opposing her moon in Sagittarius. They're coming from two different worlds, two different upbringings, and that can pose challenges in and of itself. Now, this outfit right here, I was like, that is just too much. And it looks cheap, tacky. And actually, one of my clients asked me to look into why she be wearing some cheap, tacky looking clothes sometimes. Sometimes she looks really nice, but this dress right here, I'm not feeling. And then it's just too much silver going on with his vest. I was just like, yeah, they made for each other. Let me stop. I was like, yeah, they belong together when I saw this get up. But and I'm pretty sure this was her idea. So it does make me kind of question her fashion choices or her fashion sense. Now, she has Venus and Virgo squaring that moon in Sagittarius, and that could make her fashion sense a little wonky. That could cause her to be like to overdo it. Like this dress is very much like moon and Sagittarius squaring Venus and Virgo. Like it's not tasteful at all. It's just gaudy. It's just over the top with the sequins and stuff like that. So the Venus and Virgo alone, with Venus representing style, she might compromise style in order to save money, especially with that Venus being in the eighth house. So I'm thinking she might see a couture dress, right? And then she'll get her tailor, her seamstress to try to make a copy of it or a rendition of it. But yeah. Now, Nelly's Neptune and North Node in Sagittarius squaring Ashanti's Venus in Virgo. So remember, her moon in Sagittarius squares her Venus in Virgo in her natal chart. And then Nelly comes along and his Neptune and North Node in Sagittarius are squaring her Venus along with her moon. So you see how he just came and fulfilled that square that she has in her natal chart. But because it's his Neptune and North Node, it's going to be even worse than the natal square she has. So on one end, this could be a passive partner, a neglectful partner that Nelly is being in this marriage. Also, Nelly trapping Ashanti with false hopes, empty promises. Also, this is representing where she can't get him to help out with the baby, changing diapers, etc. Because Venus rules her fifth house. Fifth house is children. It also shows that she can't put him on a schedule. No matter how hard she tries, he will not be put on a schedule. She can't tame him. She can't train him, basically. Her attempts to train and tame him are futile. Also, his inclination towards excess and addictions can get them into financial trouble. So, again, I'm seeing one of the main issues in their marriage is going to be debt, finances, joint financial management. I'm not feeling this dress that she has on. And one thing I feel like is a red flag. Now, I might sound like a prude saying this, but one thing, call me old fashioned. I'll be that, at least for this point I'm about to make. But I will say this: if you have a man who doesn't mind you walking out the house half naked, because I consider that to be half naked, if you have a man and he don't mind you being in public with your boobs almost showing. I mean, I could see a little part of her areola if you look closely. To me, that means that he doesn't respect you on the level that you deserve, number one. Number two, he could be objectifying you. And we know that he has a potential to objectify women with his Mars conjoined to Uranus. And it could just show that, he's not very, what's the word? He don't value you on the level like you're a prized possession that he don't want any other man to look at or be with. But again, call me old fashioned. Some women might think that I'm being like prudish or old fashioned or too traditionalist in saying this. But I believe that most men, if they really, really love their woman and they really cherish her and they value her, they're not going to want her walking out the house looking like that. Jules said, "You're not at the half century yet, but I will be at the end of this year." I will be. And I'm starting to sound more and more like I am a half century person, like for real. Josie said, I low key like that dress. Now, you might like the dress, but my thing is, that's a dress that you wear if you're a single woman going to a nightclub or something like that. You know what I mean? If you want to show that amount of skin. If you're with your man, all I know, I'll just speak for myself. I wouldn't want my man to be okay with me looking like that out in public because I would think something's wrong with him. I'd be like, okay, this is what you want me to wear? Okay. Or you don't have a problem with you wearing this, even though these other men are gawking at me. Like, why do some people act like men aren't going to be gawking at you? Like, men will gawk at you wearing a onesie where you're dressed from head to toe. Of course, they're going to gawk at you dressed like that. Now, some men, like Ice T, is one of those men. He likes to objectify his woman, Coco, and he don't mind that other men gawk at his woman. Nelly is probably the same way too. Like I don't mind that other men gawk at my woman, but I just feel like it's just showing a lack of a certain level of respect. And it's also about protecting your woman too. Because most men know how men are. Most men, y'all know how y'all are. So why, if you're a decent, upstanding man, you would think you would want to protect your woman at all costs. So to have your woman walking around almost half naked, to me, that shows that you're not very protective of her. And again, I know there's a fine line between that because I'm not saying she should have a burqa on, like, how these Muslim men want their wives to look. But at the same time, again, we know that there's sexual predators all over the place. Why would you want your wife walking around so sexual predators can be gawking at her? That's all I'm saying. Now, his moon and south node in Gemini is squaring her Venus in Virgo. So, Nelly's erratic and flirty behavior does not mesh well with Ashanti's Venus in Virgo. So, this square is representing a lack of regularity, a lack of routine, and a lack of attentiveness on Nelly's part. It's basically see you when I see you energy. And that could be going on in their household as a married couple. Like she's like, "Are you going to be home for dinner?" And he's like, "I don't know, maybe. I'll see you when I get home." Well, when time are you going to get home? I don't know. I'm going to be out with my boys. It could be a few hours, could be all night. I don't know. So I would think Nelly is that type where she can't ever get a straight answer out of him. She can't ever get him to commit to being at the dinner table every night at 6 o'clock when he's not on tour. Also, this can represent Ashanti being stressed and insecure due to Nelly's side chicks and one night stands. Nelly's relatives being around their son can rub off on him in a negative way because we have to take their son into account because Venus is ruling her fifth house. And then also his South Node and Moon are in her fifth house. Ashanti has challenges with monitoring his behavior, most likely due to him having multiple phones. So, people that got Venus and Virgo, a lot of times they're going to want to monitor their mate. They're going to want to keep tabs on their mate and see what they're doing, often, checking in with their partner. But with this square, this could show she has challenges with trying to check in with Nelly or at least monitor his activity. And that could be because he got multiple phones. So he might got a phone for the chicks that he is meeting when he's on the road, and he got a phone when he's dealing with her. Nelly Saturn in Cancer squaring Ashanti's Sun and Pluto in Libra. So this is basically telling me that Nelly really doesn't want any parts of this marriage. Even though he proposed to Ashanti, that's what she said. Um, Even though he agreed to get married, I believe his heart is really not in it. He really doesn't want to be married. But I believe one of the reasons why he chose to get married was so she wouldn't put him on the hook for child support. Now, this square also shows that Nelly is going to do him regardless of what Ashanti wants. And that can involve him dealing with other women. This square also represents his lack of co parenting with Ashanti. Saturn and Cancer individuals can struggle with parenting and home life in general. A lot of them are not very domesticated. Issues with his family or mother. And again, remember, he said, I'm a mama's boy. And I feel like he's going to be mean to that child. Maybe not all the time, but when the child gets in his way, maybe when the boy is crying too much. Because remember where Nelly comes from. Nelly comes from the hood, and little boys are often treated very roughly in the hood. So he might, because the way he was treated when he was coming up, he might not be that soft and gentle towards his son, especially when his son is crying about something, or again, his son gets in his way, or his son spills juice on his important papers, or something like that. Then he jerks him up by the arm, and then he breaks his arm on accident. And then next thing you know, they go move into the Overlook Hotel and he goes crazy and tries to kill Ashanti and the boy. Sorry, I had to put that one in there. That's from the Shining movie. But no, I wouldn't be surprised if Nelly ends up being too hard on that boy at some point, and then Ashanti having a problem with it. And like I said, one of the reasons why Ashanti might leave Nelly or divorce him could be because she doesn't like the way he's treating their child. Ellie said, not wanting to interact with your child until he speaks is a very wild thing to say. Yes, that's very much his Gemini South Node and Sun in her fifth house. But what he really means, though, I think, is what he really wants to say is, I didn't want to have this child. She wanted the child. So I'm going to do the bare minimum. Alex said, I hope she leaves his ass before he's hard on that boy. Yeah, that would be, the best thing. But I have a feeling she's not going to leave him, at least for a number of years. Maybe 3 years at the minimum. I could see them being married. So I didn't know how old the younger son was. I mean, the other son. So he has a 4-year-old son. Okay. All right. Nelly Saturn in Cancer. It's in quincunx to her Neptune in Sagittarius. So this can represent dreams that she had about his dealings with other women, especially with that Neptune being in her 12th house. I wouldn't be surprised. Can represent her attempts to escape through drugs, alcohol. He might drive her to drink. Now, I don't know if she's a drinker or if she smokes weed or whatever or takes pills, but you never know. Sometimes a bad relationship can cause you to hit the bottle or start down in some pills, smoking weed heavily. Who knows? Just so you can get to sleep at night because you are waiting up, waiting for him to come in. He's not coming in the house. Also, this can show that he's liable to come in at any hour he feels like, disrupting her sleep. Again, she's like, "You going? What time are you going to be home?" Man, I don't know. Shit, stop riding my dick. Like that's probably how he talks to her. Like when the cameras aren't rolling. And one of the videos I was watching where the YouTuber was commenting on the episodes, he did call her a bitch under her breath. She rewound it because at first I was like, because this YouTuber was being very nitpicky. So a lot of what she was saying and pointing out, I was like, come on now, you be an extra with it. But there was this part where he did call her a bitch under her breath, under his breath. And I was like, oh, wow, interesting. Challenges dealing with where to relocate. So I heard that they're already dealing with some conflict regarding where they want to live. So I heard that Nelly wants to stay in St. Louis and Ashanti wants to be in New York. So this can deal with the issues with their living situation in terms of where to move. Now, because Nelly Saturn is in Cancer, he's not likely to want to move too far from St. Louis. So that could be a problem. And you see how his Saturn's in her seventh house. So their living situation, she might feel like it's a cross for her to bear again, her having to live in St. Louis or somewhere she don't want to be simply to make him happy. Ashanti struggle with living out certain rich fantasies due to Nelly's ghetto tendencies. So again, remember that Cancer energy, not for all cancers, because some people like to take me too literally, or not even too literally. Some people think if I say something, that means all people of this sign are like this. And just always keep in mind that these signs are multifaceted. So just like Cancer rules chefs, we know that not every Cancer individual is a chef. So try not to like think in terms of when I say certain things that I mean all people of this sign are like this. So when I say Cancer has the potential to be ghetto, it's true, but that doesn't mean all cancers are ghetto. So again, but in this case, we know that Nelly is ghetto. We've seen him in action. So this quincunx again can deal with Ashanti's struggle with living out certain rich fantasies, like going to like five-star hotels, like the Ritz Carlton and stuff like that, because of the way he acts, even the way he dresses sometimes. People gonna be like turning their nose up now. And I know she cares about what people think because she's a Libra. But yeah, she can't take him everywhere. Now, Nelly's Saturn in Cancer, quincunx Ashanti's Aquarius South Node. This can manifest as temporary separations due to Ashanti getting fed up over Nelly's cheating with other women. But again, I think it's going to take a woman that he's been dealing with on a more serious level instead of him just dealing with groupies. It could be she finds out he's been dealing with one of her so-called friends even. And this is part of a quasi yod that is in this synastry. And yods can produce love triangles, interference from third parties. And again, on a benign level, the interference, the third parties could be show producers, directors, camera crew. Also, keep in mind that these reality show producers and directors, they want conflict because conflict generates views. So they might manufacture some conflicts between Nelly and Ashanti that actually turn into real conflicts when the cameras aren't rolling. So keep that in mind as well. So this quasi yod that's in their synastry can basically mean that this marriage might end badly. And the quasi yod can be seen through South Node with his Saturn. So here we go right here. And then his Saturn in quincunx with her Neptune. And then the reason why I'm saying quasi is because this sextile that will complete the yada, it's a bit too wide, these two planets. But I'm still saying it's very much like a yod nonetheless. And this yod in this synastry can cause their marriage to fall apart in the worst way at some point. Nelly's Jupiter in Pisces, sesqui square Shanti's Sun and Pluto in Libra. Here she is with her belly out. Honestly, I'm not a fan of the bare pregnant belly. And again, I guess this is me sounding like an old fuddy duddy traditionalist. I just don't like that look. First of all, pregnant bellies, they look painful. And I've been pregnant 3 times, had 3 children, and I'm just like, I didn't like being pregnant. Now, some women love it. Some women don't want to show their baby bump or their big belly. I always feel like it's a little inappropriate. I don't know. I'm just old fashioned, I guess. But yeah, I just had to say it. But anyway, this sesqui square could deal with Nelly being able to sleep through the baby's crying with his Jupiter and Pisces. That Jupiter and Pisces can make him dead to the world when he sleep. The baby is represented by Ashanti's son. Being a passive partner in this marriage and in the worst way at times because it's a sesqui square could represent the time he was locked. Wait a minute, was he ever locked up? But also his scandals. She exercises poor judgment due to his influence. Nelly's drinking and drug. Wait a minute. Didn't he get arrested shortly after? Wait a minute, what you say? You said you got the one up on me. Didn't you? Didn't he? Wasn't he arrested shortly after giving birth, or it was something? He got into trouble with the law like shortly after she gave birth, didn't he? Let me know about that. If my memory serves me correctly, maybe he didn't get locked up, but didn't he go to a casino and he got drunk or something? Now, Nelly's drinking and drugging could create legal and financial trouble for Ashanti or worse. The child could be in danger. Okay, so he was arrested. Thank you. So he was arrested for drug possession. Nurse Tara said, I don't like that bear baby bump look either. Thank you. Maybe because we're from the old school. We're both Gen Xers. Maybe that's why we don't really like it. Because us Gen Xers, we weren't walking around with our baby bump showing like that. Especially at baby showers when people have large photos of them half naked. Wow, I didn't know they be getting half naked at the baby showers nowadays. Smart Smart said soon you'll be able to incubate a baby. All right, so yes, Nelly's drinking and drugging, represented by his Jupiter in Pisces, could create legal and financial trouble. Look where his Jupiter is. His Jupiter is in her second house. Second house, that's money. So a lot of the money that they have could be going to drugs, alcohol, and other things that he's addicted to, such as gambling. Nelly's Jupiter in Pisces, squaring Ashanti's moon and Mars in Sagittarius. So Nelly being on tour drives Ashanti crazy. She even spoke about that in the reality show. Since she knows he'll be out cheating. She didn't say that part though. She can't have him all to herself. That's what this is representing. Nelly being neglectful of his financial obligations. Ashanti catching Nelly in lies all the time. Nelly does a good job of knocking Ashanti off her pedestal when he feels like she needs it. And Nelly can sometimes be a source of embarrassment or humiliation for Ashanti. So this is another aspect that shows she can't take him just anywhere. All right, Nelly's Jupiter in Pisces opposing Ashanti's Venus in Virgo. She will never be able to get Nelly to adhere to the schedules, routines, and plans that she creates. So this is like her scheduling an appointment. She's like, okay, it's the baby's first doctor's appointment. Come on, Nelly, we need you to come. And then she's like, it's at 4 p.m. on Thursday. And he shows up at 5:45 p.m. wondering why the doctor's appointment is over. So he's that type where he may not be keeping appointments and things like that or showing up late. Ashanti could often feel neglected and abandoned by Nelly. Nelly may even be a moocher, especially with his Jupiter being in her second house. He may try to skip out on certain financial obligations like child support if they divorce. Or again, like I said, if she's making more money than him and they get a divorce, I wouldn't put it past him to put her on the hook for spousal support. Now this looks more appropriate. Here she is with a nice maternity dress on, looking cute. And again, you can see how mismatched they are in terms of the way they're dressed. This is very moon opposition moon. His moon in Gemini, her moon in Sagittarius. So again, it's just showing they're coming from two different worlds. It looked like they were having a nice dinner out somewhere, and this is how he chose to get dressed. And even the numbers on the sweat sweat outfit he got on. Looked like some shit from prison. But yeah, to me, that speaks volumes the way they're dressed in a couple of these pictures. Like, that's the best you could put on Nelly? Come on. Now, Nelly's Mars in Scorpio is semi square with Ashanti's Neptune in Sagittarius. So, this semi square could represent times when Ashanti tries to break free, but Nelly pulls her back in. Nelly's bad behavior, in this case, or in a lot of cases, it'll be infidelity, could trigger her to drink or take drugs excessively. She looks like she likes to drink wine. You know what I'm saying? She likes to get her drink on in a classy way by drinking wine and champagne. But you know, you could get shit faced drunk off of wine and champagne if you're not careful. But yeah, when he doesn't come home at night, she probably crack open that bottle of Chardonnay or the bottle of Pinot Grigio and she go to town singing Foolish. Now, Nelly's Mars can join to Ashanti's Midheaven in Scorpio. So remember I said this could be positive or negative. On the negative, this can show that Nelly could make or break Ashanti's career. She better be careful dealing with him. He could sully her reputation. And remember, the Scorpio energy always has the potential to turn on you. She's not in charge of her destiny in this marriage unless it is totally aligned with what Nelly wants. So, this is another aspect that could put her at a disadvantage. Getting deep into debt due to Nelly's penchant for using credit and loans. So, again, I'm seeing a strong theme of mismanagement of finances on Nelly's part. So, Nelly, he might be bringing in a lot of money, but just because you're bringing in a lot of money, if you're not wise with your spending, you could end up broke. You could end up ruining your life financially. So, he doesn't seem like he has any what's the word, any inhibitions about spending mad money. Like on the show they were saying that he had gambled $250,000 at the casino. Kauai said, let's hope she does not get addicted to Xannies. And that's very well possible because you know how these doctors are. She could go to a therapist, you know, crying and complaining that she's depressed all the time because Nelly is mistreating her. And next thing you know, that therapist prescribes her some Xannies or some Prozac, and now she's hooked. Now, Nelly's Mercury in Libra semi-square Ashanti's Moon in Sagittarius. Now, this semi-square is not going to be a deal breaker, but Nelly's roving eye could get Ashanti angry at times, and she may threaten to leave him, even though she's not serious. Nelly's Mercury in Libra, semi square Ashanti's Venus in Virgo. This is another aspect that's not going to be a deal breaker, but it could still create some irritation, some frustration. So Nelly's touring contracts interfere with the daily care of their son, with Venus ruling their fifth house. Challenge with achieving consistency and routine, and Nelly not wanting to get his hands dirty with the changing of diapers. He believes he is above such servile activities, especially with his Mercury being in her ninth house. That's Nelly wanting to be on a pedestal himself. Self-made SM, hey self-made, said Ashanti can also give a wine functional alcoholic. Is that what you say? She giving off a wine functional alcoholic vibe? Now, Nelly's Sun and Venus in Scorpio opposing Ashanti's Chiron and Taurus. This opposition can always have Ashanti questioning her value in this marriage due to his infidelity. Nelly may have married Ashanti to avoid being on the hook for child support. So this is the aspect where I saw that that could be the reason why he got married, because he doesn't want to be having that child support bill, which I'm pretty sure she would have to file for child support if she didn't marry him, because it seems like he's not the type that would be good with voluntarily giving her money on the regular. Like she would really have to ask for it and maybe even sometimes beg for it. Oh no, I'm getting a bump on my eyelid. I hope this don't turn into a sty. It's feeling kind of itchy. Now, can represent the potential for earning money that Nelly sees in being with Ashanti. So that's another thing that I don't like about this opposition, because he could be looking at her like a cash cow, even though he loves her. Like, I won't deny the fact that he loves her. I think he does. But it's more so on a friend, homie lover, friend type of love than an actual love that a man truly has for his wife. So, and I don't see him as seeing her as being irreplaceable. Represents Nelly trying to feed their son junk food. So this opposition can be like where she's constantly, or he's constantly opposing her values when it comes to their son, and food being one of them with the Taurus theme. So that Sun conjunct Venus and Scorpio, that's the epitome of junk food. So she had already mentioned that he tried to give the baby a popsicle. And he was like, "It's just a popsicle." And she's like, "He's only 4 months old." I forgot how old she said the baby was at the time. But he's already trying to feed the baby popsicles. He wanted the baby to have bacon. So again, coming from the background he's coming from, he probably grew up seeing 6 month old babies with popsicles, holding popsicles and drinking sugary drinks out the bottle and stuff like that. So Nelly doesn't really know, or I can't say no, but this is what he's used to, giving a baby junk food and stuff like that. Nelly's Sun and Venus in Scorpio squaring Ashanti's Leo North Node represents Nelly's avoidance of partaking in the raising of their baby. It's as simple as that, with Scorpio producing that avoidant tendency. Ashanti, and it can even show that sometimes he has a disdain for the boy. And again, it could be because he's realizing Ashanti is spending more time with the boy than like being submissive to him, or where he looks at the boy as this is another bill that has to be paid. Not saying he doesn't love his son, but we know how parents can feel different ways about their children. On one hand, they can love their children. On the other hand, they might look at their children as a burden, a financial burden. Also, this shows that Ashanti can't have Nelly's undivided attention, love, and affection like she wants. It can represent her challenge with receiving child support from Nelly if they divorce. And Nelly is likely to be a negative influence upon their son. And again, he might not be that way purposefully. He might not be purposely trying to influence his son in a negative way. But again, he already said he was like, once he gets, old enough to be walking and talking, he gonna be around his uncles and cousins and stuff. And the way Nelly said it kind of sounded like it was a warning, like, watch out because your son is about to be corrupted. Scorpio, we have to be real about Scorpio. Scorpio is a corrupting influence. This is why that square between Leo and Scorpio is potentially really deleterious, because Leo is children and Scorpio is corruption. Leo is children, Scorpio is abuse. So again, we have to be real with some of these aspects that we're seeing. He's likely to be a negative influence upon their son, even if it's to the point where he's being around certain types of women, cheating on Ashanti with his son right there. Because men have been known to do that, to cheat on their wives with their children right freaking there. Oh, Ellie, you came in a little late because I started with their positive aspects first. So you're going to have to watch the replay to get the information on the positive aspects. So this is the negative. I saved this part for last. Ashanti may develop a disgust for gambling after dealing with Nelly, because that North Node, and it's also her vertex, but in this case, it's his Sun and Venus just squaring her North Node. That North Node in Leo in her seventh house, yeah, it's representing her having a baby through marriage, but it's also representing getting with a husband who has a gambling problem, because Leo is gambling. So through dealing with Nelly, she might develop a disgust for gambling after he puts them into deep debt. Nelly's moon in Gemini, Sesqui square Ashanti, Scorpio midheaven. Ashanti can never be fully sure that Nelly is going to show up to events. So again, Gemini can change like the wind. Gemini can be very unreliable. So this can show where she needs him to be somewhere at a certain time and he's not showing up, or he's showing up late. He's being very flippant about things that she deems to be important. Also, his behavior and attitudes towards their son could be the last straw for Ashanti. So, like I said, I see Ashanti trying to be in this for the long haul, but I see the one deal breaker being their son. If she finds that her son is not faring well in this marriage, mainly because they're arguing all the time or he's a negative influence upon their son, I believe that will be reason enough for her to divorce him. Ellie said, I don't like that picture of them. Again, his Gemini moon in her fifth house represents the time her son will be spending with Nelly's relatives, and that is likely to be a serious issue at some point. So, the moon in Gemini in her fifth house, that could be her son spending time at the cousin's house, Nelly's cousin's house, Nelly's uncle's house, or, the boy's uncle's, and that being a negative influence, that being part of the negative influence. So that concludes the synastry on Nelly and Ashanti. Let me know what y'all think in the comment section or in the chat right now. I gotta run though, so I can't stick around. But yeah, that's basically the gist of it. And just to sum things up. Oh, I was gonna do some tarot readings too. I'm not done yet. Hold on, hold on. Let's do some tarot readings before I let y'all go. So first, we're gonna do a tarot reading, just a 4 card reading to see how this relationship is going to be. Basically, what I want to know is divorce in their future. And when I say future, we're going to put, let's say, 10 years. We're going to be generous with this time frame. Will this marriage last for at least 10 years? Will they be getting divorced within 10 years? All right, let's see. This is interesting. Ooh. Okay, the situation is the Seven of Swords. That's just the situation because I asked about divorce, so that makes sense. Okay, I will, Kawhi. Thank you. And then the challenge is the Ten of Cups. Ten of Cups is a marriage card, and it's just showing that, you know, there's a situation with them being fully cohesive, being fully merged together. The advice is the Four of Pentacles, so that's them holding on. Holding on. So it does look like they could hold on for 10 years. But then the outcome, y'all, is the Three of Swords. So this marriage might last for 10 good years. So that'd be what, 2023 to 2033? And it's already 2025. It's about to be 2026. So 2020. So I'm seeing that this marriage, but then again, I might be reading this wrong. When we go back to the Four of Pentacles, that Four of Pentacles could be 4 years. Because Four of Pentacles, on one hand, it could be holding on, right? But sometimes tarot will throw out a card that has a number on it that will tell you the number of years. This could be 4 solid years, which kind of is in line with what I said in a comment on the short I did about them. Because the outcome is the Three of Swords. That's divorce, that's breakup. Wow. So if it's 4 years, now it's going to make me pull her transits, but I don't have time tonight. If it's 4 years, now, okay, I'm seeing things clearly. That Ten of Cups, that's the 10 years. That's in the challenge. So if the Ten of Cups is in the challenge position, that means that more than likely they're not going to make it the full 10 years. Four of Pentacles, that could represent 4 years. Three of Swords, divorce. So I'll say they'll be together, they'll be married less than 10 years. That's basically the bulk of what I'm saying. Married less than 10 years, but they could be getting separated or divorced as early as 4 years into the marriage. We shall see. Okay, now I'm going to do a relationship spread. Should I do it? Let me know. If you want me to do this, because this relationship spread that I do, it's an 8 card spread, and I could do it from both perspectives. I'm going to do it from both of their perspectives, but I want to know, should I do it from Nelly's perspective first or Ashanti? So y'all let me know. Should I? Oh yeah, I'm glad you threw that out, Alex. I wanted to talk about that marriage date. Them getting married on the 27th is not a good sign because that 27, that could be secret women, secret affairs with women. Two being women, seven being secrecy. So should I do Ashanti first with the relationship spread? And 27, that breaks down to nine. Nine is conflict. And that represents that degree on the descendant and ascendant in Ashanti's chart. And actually, that nine could be 9 years because I've seen that play out in people's charts too, where a person might have the 13th degree on their ascendant and descendant, and they're married to somebody for 13 years. I've seen it play out a number of times. So the fact that she has the ninth degree, remember I said less than 10 years. She has the ninth degree of Cancer on that seventh house cusp. It might be year nine that they actually file for divorce, but maybe the marriage will start becoming really rocky in year four. So, yeah, we shall see. All right, what am I? Okay, so we're doing Ashanti's perspective first. So, relationship reading from Ashanti's perspective. So, the first card is going to be how Ashanti sees herself. The second card is going to be how she sees Nelly. The third card is going to be their current situation. The fourth card is going to be what she needs from Nelly. The fifth card is going to be how Nelly sees her. The sixth card will be her problem, her main problem in the relationship. Seventh card will be the strength. And the eighth card will be the outcome. So I like to put a time frame on the outcome. The outcome, let's do 3 years from now. No, no, no. Let's do 1 year. Oh, what should the outcome be? How many years? The outcome is going to be the end of next year, the end of 2026. I don't want to make it too far into the future because things change. All right. So, card number one, how Ashanti sees herself. She sees herself as the Three of Cups. That's one of many. Damn, that's rough. No, honestly, though, the Three of Cups, that can see herself. That's her seeing herself where she's one of a few. She knows that Nelly got other women and that he's messing with other women. Now that Three of Cups can also represent she's just in a celebratory state still. Baby's still young, the marriage is still new. That Three of Cups is a card of celebration, having a good time. It's also a card of sisterhood. And I did see this thumbnail. There was this one video, I didn't watch it, but it's her and her family getting together to help her sister. I think she has a sister that either what her she got a sister that got a problem. It's either alcoholism or something. I forgot what it was. But anyway, and maybe her sister is sick or got some disease or something. That's very Three of Cups, sisterhood. How she sees Nelly. Interesting. She sees Nelly as the Seven of Wands. That Seven of Wands is him basically putting up a resistance to a bunch of things that she's trying to do. So him putting up a resistance to helping out with the baby. Also, that Seven of Wands can also just represent the number of projects he got going on right now. Seven of Wands can be on top of their game. Yeah, somebody talking about 11. Why I keep seeing 11? Anyway, Seven of Wands can be somebody that's on top of their game, doing a bunch of things, got a number of irons in the fire. So it doesn't have to be negative automatically, but it can also mean that he's putting up a resistance. He's being either antagonistic or he's being, what's the word? Trying to hold her at bay. The current situation is the Six of Cups. So that Six of Cups is coming back home. So I don't know where, do y'all know where they're currently residing? I wonder if he went back to St. Louis for something, or are they currently in St. Louis? That could also deal with where they're having a lot of heart to heart conversations, a lot of intimacy. But Six of Cups, a lot of times, is about going back home. Now, I don't know where they're currently living now, but that can mean that either both of them or one of them have gone back home to visit family or whatever. Oh, y'all talking about a good day or a good month. Thank you, Ellie, because I was like, what are y'all talking about with these numbers? All right, what she needs from Nelly. This is interesting. She needs the devil card. You know what that is, y'all. What did I tell you? She got a Scorpio midheaven, Mercury and Scorpio in the 10th house. She needs sex. She needs sex from Nelly. And I think she thinks that as long as Nelly is giving it to her good, that means he can't possibly be getting a lot of sex while he's on the road. So by him having a lot of sex with her, that's kind of like giving her some added security. But it's a false sense of security because we know that he's going to have to travel. So yes, she needs the D. She needs that vitamin D on the regular. And that devil card can also mean that she needs him to basically be more accountable, honor his obligations. But I'm seeing it more so as she needs sex. And again, let's be real. She got Mercury and Scorpio in the 10th. She got that Scorpio midheaven. Like I said, sex is a high priority with the Scorpio midheaven. He sees her as the Three of Swords. Interesting. So he might have did something recently to make her feel heartbroken, to make her feel unloved, to make her feel distressed, to have her crying. That's interesting how he sees her as the Three of Swords. You never know. She might have already threatened to divorce him already because Nelly is the type that's going to be acting up. Now, her problem is the Nine of Wands. So that Nine of Wands is basically where you've been hurt before by this man. You know, if you know what the Nine of Wands looks like, it's a man, he's holding one of the wands and he's standing in front of the eight wands and he got this bandage around his head because he's been hurt before and now he's very wary. So this can show that, yeah, she's a little wary of Nelly, his intentions, what he's going to be, his behavior in this marriage. She's kind of on edge because that Nine of Wands can mean that you are really on edge. And then her strength is the Nine of Pentacles. And that's basically dealing with financial gain, financial security. So things are going well now with them financially, but it may not always be that way. But that Nine of Pentacles is also showing that she has her own money. So it's also like she's kind of telling herself, yeah, if he really wants to act up, at the end of the day, I'm making my own money. I'm going to be okay. Because the Nine of Pentacles is more so of the single woman. She's very attractive. She's very alluring. She's very, like, she's a high value woman that is desirable to men, but where she feels like she doesn't have to be with a man at the end of the day because she can take care of herself financially. And then the outcome, remember I said the end of next year, so the end of 2026, I got the King of Wands. And that can represent Nelly really showing his ass, acting like he's totally single, even though he's still married. King of Wands doesn't really represent security in terms of marriage, in terms of partnership. The King of Wands, he gonna do what he wants to do. regardless of how Ashanti feels about it. So, but the King of Wands can also mean that they got some more money coming in, royalties or whatever due to other projects. But I'm more so just seeing that dealing with Nelly really stepping fully into that Sagittarius North Node, especially conjoined to Neptune. Also, it could represent his Chiron and Aries, where he's really doing what he wants to do. Now, when a marriage is fresh and new, and I still consider it to be fresh and new because they got married late 2023, I think. So, yeah, December 27th, 2023. So the marriage is not even that old yet. So he still might be putting his best foot forward. So can you imagine how he's going to be by the end of 2026? He probably really going to be showing his ass then. All right, let's look at this from Nelly's perspective. Again, we're going to use the same time frame. End of 2026 is going to be the outcome. All right. First card, how Nelly sees himself. Look at this shit. Nelly sees himself as the magician. The magician, this is the man. He the man. This is the man that has all the tools. The one that's, having the right ingredients to make money, to be, self actualize even. But the magician can also be a master manipulator as well, which fits that Scorpio energy. Even though the magician corresponds to Mercury, we always have to take into account that the magician can be a master manipulator. And basically, Nelly is seeing himself again as the man that has it going on. So even though he might be reading some of the negative comments about him on social media, he's probably like, they just jealous, they hating. He sees Ashanti as the Page of Swords. So again, we're seeing in both readings that he's not looking at her in a positive light right now, because the Page of Swords is usually representing someone who is dissatisfied with what's going on, someone who has a lot of gripes, someone who is taking objection to what is going on, someone who has a lot to say, someone who has a lot on their mind. So a lot of times he probably looking at her like he wish she would shut up. But that page of swords can also represent her spending time with the baby, because pages are children. And then the current situation, I got another page, the page of wands. So this makes me think of the baby, but also there could be traveling going on, or at least someone is gearing up to travel. What he needs from Ashanti is the Eight of Pentacles, which is very much like Virgo energy. Going back to that Nine of Pentacles, remember I got that card for the strength. That Nine of Pentacles is representing Ashanti's Venus and Virgo. But Eight of Pentacles is what Nelly needs from Ashanti, and that's somebody that is dedicated. That's somebody that is always going to be there and play their role and be dutiful and be somebody that's always on top of things, especially the finances. So remember what I said with the conjunctions involving his Scorpio Sun and Venus and her Mercury, that she is more likely the one that's taking care of the bills and stuff. While he probably gives her money, she's probably the one actually writing the checks, or, paying the shit online or setting shit up and all these in the different accounts and all that. And that Eight of Pentacles is also where he needs her to be at his service. How she sees him. Nine of Wands. So in this case, she's seeing him as being on edge. Also, she's seeing him as being hurt before. And this could be because, these allegations that these women, he might claim, oh, it was a smear campaign or whatever. But that can also represent that he's gearing up to go on tour as well, which he mentioned in that reality show. Now, his main problem in this situation, I got the Tower card. And that Tower card oftentimes means you're not liberated. You want to be liberated. So you want to break free from time to time. So, yeah, he's going to cheat with that Tower card being the problem because that's him wanting to break out, just go crazy at times. But now he's married. He can't always do that. And that's why it's a problem. And then the Empress card is the strength, and that's him having a beautiful wife. The Empress can represent the love of your life, a beautiful wife. So I would say that yes, Nelly does love Ashanti. Ashanti loves Nelly, but is it that pure love that's coming from that place of selflessness and that place of honor and all that until death do us part? I don't see it being that type of love. I do see like there's some opportunism on both sides, but more so Nelly's side. But at least the Empress is in the positive, and that could also show that Ashanti's going to make sure that her man is satisfied sexually as well. And the outcome, again, this is the end of 2026. I got the Eight of Wands. Eight of Wands, that's a card of travel, but it can also be a card of a fling, a romantic fling that Nelly enters. So I wouldn't be surprised if he's in a romantic fling next year with a new chick, and this fling might actually turn into something serious, but time will tell, we'll see. But yeah, that concludes my reading on Nelly and Ashanti. I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for staying with me so long. I have 106 people in the chat or on this live stream, which is good. Shout out to everybody. If you have not subscribed to my channel, please consider doing so. I have many more videos to come. I have a bunch of videos on here already. If you would like a reading, you could go to my website. The link is in the description section. I do readings by phone, video, written reports. Um, just about anything that you're interested in and that you want to know, any questions you have about anything about your life, I'm here for you. So book a reading if you need some help. Also, consider joining my Patreon. I'll be posting a exclusive video to Patreon very soon. So stay tuned for that, patrons. And thank you once again for your continued support. Shout out to my Diggable Planets. Love y'all. And you might want to consider being a Diggable Planet because the next time I go live, I'm going to allow the Diggable Planets to get throw some questions out for free readings. So stay tuned for that. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it. I'm out. Love y'all. Take care. Peace and many blessings. I think the next video I'll be doing will be maybe on it'll probably be a sponsored video. Might be I think it's gonna be one of yours, Kauai. So stay tuned for that. I'm out. Stay cool, y'all.